Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast, and today I have something I have waited a long time for. A box of Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate draft boosters. It's been a very long time in the making on this one, and I'm going to crack it open for you today and tell you all kinds of stories from the set. You know, sometimes I do these box opening videos, and at the beginning I'm like, oh, I'll try and keep it short, and then the video ends up like, you know, an hour and a half regardless. Today there are no illusions. This is going to be a long one because I've got a lot of stories to tell about this set. I was going to start cracking this box open and telling you, you know, everything there is to know about the set and all the history of the design that went into it. You know, I was on the design team. The history for those who haven't been following for that long, I was the lead designer for Commander Legends, the first Commander Legends. It took me about 6 years to get that set made, which was, you know, quite the ordeal, as you can imagine. And then for this set, I was on the design team. Corey Bowen was actually the lead. I wasn't the lead designer here, but I contributed a lot, and I was what was called the strong second on the team. So given my experience with Commander Legends, I helped guide Corey in his lead, and I still made a ton of cards, and we'll probably see some of them today. Then I led the Commander decks, which we'll be going through later, and I can tell you all about all the cards in the Commander decks. But so I did a lot of work on this set, and I have a lot of stories to tell. Also, this video is exciting because it is actually morning. Normally, I hate to ruin the illusion for you all. I record these like at night or maybe sometimes in the late afternoon. Nope, I literally got this box yesterday, ran home, had some other stuff to do, and woke up early this morning to record it so I can get it online for you on a Friday that all the previews go live for the set. So it's literally, I'm going to try to get this up as soon as I possibly can after recording this video. So if you hear birds chirping in the background, that's what's up. It's about 4:30 in the morning right now. Here's what I think you get in the top of everything, which is pretty cool. It tells you how to do Commander Draft, which I'm not going to recap the rules for right now, but how to do it. Tells you about some new mechanics, like choose a background, which is a really big deal, faceless one, and how that stuff works. Not going to get into it too much right now, because you're here to see the box opening, not learn about how Commander Legends works. We'll take a quick look at these draft archetypes, though. It's pretty cool. You can hear about what's going on. Blink, Initiative, Treasure, and Sacrifice. Dragons. Yeah, dragons are across 3 colors, red, green, blue, red, and green, blue. So, anyway, that's pretty neat. A little bit with the over here. But let's get into the packs and storytelling, because I think it is going to take a while today. I want to save plenty of time for that. There'll be other videos where I cover the draft format. So here we are. You know, because of the Pando, I have not opened a single Battle for Baldur's Gate booster pack. Normally, you would get them in the office, and you know, kind of missed the boat on that one. So I'm gonna crack this open. I cannot wait to see what's inside. Here we go. First ever draft booster for this set. Let's see what we get. Okay, Patron of the Arts here. So Treasure is an archetype, as we saw here, as are dragons. So finding commons that can cross across archetypes is something we always try and do in our limited sets. And so a dragon that makes Treasure, first of all, is something that just makes sense. Second of all, helps multiple limited archetypes, which is pretty cool. You can play it in the Sacrifice deck, the Treasure deck, the Dragon deck. Sometimes you just find a design that hits perfectly. This card hits just right. Put this box over here in the corner. Nature's Lore, great reprint, right? Commander staple, 2 mana, get you a forest into play untapped. You can, of course, find any forest-typed duels, so glad to have that reprint here. Winter Eladrin. You know, it's important to just have some nice riffs on commons. So, you know, Mana War is a classic, and this is just basically a Mana War. You can't target itself, and you can make it optional. But yeah. Powerful common. Elf Wizard in blue, so there's something for you. Fairy Elf Wizard, actually, in blue, so there's something cool for you guys. That's what we type the Eladrin as. Gray Slad. So yeah, Adventure is back in this set. We thought it was a perfect fit, you know. I mean, literally in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, many players were like, hey, where's Adventure? It's in the name. And it's such a great fit for D&D. And specifically for a Commander set, not the case on this card, but for a lot of effects, there are things that don't normally make your main deck, but we want you to have around, like a Disenchant, which destroys an artifact or enchantment. Is a card that, well, you would often cut from your Commander Legends deck, but you really want in your deck. And so Adventure gives you that flexibility, helps make sure you have plays if you flood out with mana late in the game, because you adventure your cards early and they can cast them later. That adventure was just a slam dunk awesome fit. In this case, on this card, not how it's rolling at all in any way that I described. You kind of do this mill thing to set up this ability, and then you just do this turn 2, do this turn 3. So this one is a little more scripted, but still a cool shape. There's a graveyard deck, green-black graveyard, so fits well in the draft format there. Roving Harper. I love that we're giving white cantrips now. I think that's really cool. Just small creatures that draw you cards. They're really nice for the format. And Roving Harper fits in well there. A reprint of Hoarding Ogre. Yeah, we saw this guy in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. He's back, baby. Treasure tokens, useful here in this format too. You've played this guy already in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Dice rolling, of course, returns here. One of the things you'll see on the dice rolling cards in this set, not on this particular one because it's a reprint, but we tried to commander size a lot of the dice rolling stuff. So, there's a lot of cards that have very commandery. When I say commander size, it usually means it gets a little bit larger, gets a little bit more swingy. So you'll see that in some of the later dice rolling cards. This card, though, totally fine reprint, great for the treasure deck. Gates are back. Of course, we were making a set called Baldur's Gate, and I think it was Corey that just pitched, hey, why don't we just do gates, right? Baldur's Gate is a gate. There are 9 gates in Baldur's Gate. Let's just do actual gates. And so we made 9 gates in the set. This is a cycle of 5 commons based on the Thriving Lands from Jumpstart. They play really well, and I'm sure people will be excited to run the Maze's End with these gates. This one, I will say, a little tilting to me. It's Cliff Gate is all one word. I think this is the only gate where it's one word, not 2. But it is canonically called Cliff Gate, so not really getting out of that for Baldur's Gate flavor reasons. So there we are. Oh hey, it's another one of these. Same deal. Here's the white one, Citadel Gate. I previewed this card. You can watch my video about it. The Impetuses. Yeah, the Impetuses are great. Big fan of the Impetuses. These just help make sure that stuff happens in the game, right? You put this on someone's thing, it's goaded, they're attacking. Just helps make sure the game move forward. One thing that in Commander, and especially Commander Draft, you want is stuff that just makes sure actions happen in the game. It's easy for players to get a little board stalled and not attack a bunch, especially because Commander players aren't as used to playing Draft, a format which has more creature combat. So things that force people to get into combat is really, really nice. New art, by the way, on this one here, right? Of course, because it's set in the world of Baldur's Gate. So Parasitic Impetus. Pegasus Guardian. Hey, another card I previewed. This is an adventure. This is much more in the vein of what I was talking about with adventures before, where they give you kind of a little thing. Blink doesn't normally make your deck, but it's pretty fun. And then later on, you have a cool creature you can cast, which is nice. The black-white deck is all about having a permanence you control leave the battlefield this turn, a Revolta deck, basically. So this fits in really nicely in that deck. 20 card, I guess, by the way, I didn't make this clear earlier, 20 card booster packs. So that's why you're like, wow, there's so many cards in this. Yep, 20 card booster packs, because for Commander Draft, you draft 20 card packs. In the original Commander Legends, we debated for a long time 20 card packs or drafting 4 15 card packs, and ended up on 20s for a number of reasons. Goading, still awesome. One thing we do sometimes is that you'll see is if you goad a creature, make it can't block, because first of all, it gives you just good flexibility in the letting you attack. But 2, if you goad something, they're really tempted to block with it, right? So in this particular case, you can always play it post-combat, and that wouldn't matter anyway. But there's some other cards where it goes and makes it not being able to block, for longer. So, that's the thing I always think about in design. Or sometimes on blue cards, we'll do like go to creature and tap it, so it can't just chump block someone else's thing and not have to attack itself. It's just a thing to think about. Hey, another Impetus. This is a reprint. Corey actually made the Impetus the first time around, all the way back in Commander 2020, a Corey Commander. So I know he was charmed to bring back his own designs for this set. But they play well. They play really well. Hey, it's another gate. The Basilisk Gates. This is good in your gate deck. You got a bunch of gates. You can pump up your creature. I mean, a land which threatens to do a bunch of extra damage is pretty decent. You know, this thing can easily give a creature +2/+2, +3/+3. Where when you have an evasive creature, that's like a really big deal and easy to get through with. So would expect this one to see play. And yeah, Maze's end decks suddenly +10/+10 in their commander. Not too shabby. Now we get into the uncommons. One thing you'll find in Commander Legends is there are uncommon sweepers. It's important in Commander that boards get cleaned up. Sweepers are always very important for the format. And if we only relied on the rares to do that, there wouldn't be enough in the draft experience. So we put some uncommon and downshift some cards. So here's Slaughter the Strong, downshifted from rare to uncommon. And yeah, this card I think is just a sleeper in a lot of Commander games. It's pretty easy for this to be 3 mana, you know, kill most stuff. You get to play it at an advantageous time for yourself. So yeah, great reprint here from Ixalan originally, I think. Hey, it's another gate. Wow, 4 gates, 1 pack. This makes all your gates enter untapped, which is pretty cool. Once again, if you're playing your Maze's End deck, this is the first one you'll go and find. I think this one will be pretty popular. This is like the gate. This is the gates for the gates person, you know. Gax, Astral Hunter. So here's a legend we found, and it's got choose a background, brand new mechanic. So when we were working on the set, one thing that we knew pretty early on is we wanted to do something kind of like partner, but not literally partner, because all the partners pair with each other. It's a huge mess to try and test and figure out. Commander Legends 1 was literally delayed by like a year because we had to try and put all the partners through their testing paces, and it turned out really great. Here we wanted to do something different and new, and something that fits well with D&D is choose a background. And we'll see some backgrounds later on, but they are enchantments that pair with the creatures. So you get to have your background, which is like the story of your character, and then you get to have the legend that it goes with. In this case, this is a great bridge legend. Many of the uncommons are bridge legends for archetypes. This is good for the treasure deck or the dragon deck. And notably, like I said, red, blue, and green are all the dragon archetype colors. If you're any 2 of those, you're going to want to be playing dragons. So lots of extra room for dragons in your deck. That really bring the dragons in Dungeons and Dragons. Here's another legend. Of course, you get guaranteed legends in every pack. Here is Vol, Candlekeep Researcher. 2/3 vigilance. Gives you some mana equal to its toughness. Weird restriction on you casting spells. One thing I will not be able to help too much with, except is some of the D&D lore. I know some of these characters, but really hats off to the D&D team and Mike Merles, and who was on the design for this set, a number of other people, for hammering the D&D lore home. I mean, I can talk about top-down designs, but with specific Baldur's Gate characters, I know what I did for the Commander decks, but in the main set, I was not in all those discussions. So I don't know who Vol is, but it looks like a pretty cool researcher. They're doing good stuff here. So in each pack, you'll get some legends, but you also get a background. And here is Agent of the Iron Throne. Here's an example of a background. It's an enchantment. Hangs out in your command zone, just like your commander. And you can cast it from your command zone. If it dies, it goes back in your command zone. You pay 2 more for it next time, and so on. And the backgrounds all turn on while your commander's in play. So they grant your commander basically lines of text, or stats or stuff. So this one is great for your sacrifice stack. If it's in play, and you've got your commander in play, well, you get to just drain your opponents as your stuff dies, which in commander can be quite strong. So there's Agent of the Iron Throne. Ooh, cool, rare. Traverse the Outlands. This is a reprint. We saw this card previously. I think this was in Commander 2017, which was the set I lead designed. Humble brag. And great to have this card back. And now you get to see them traversing the worlds of Baldur's Gate. World of Dungeons and Dragons. Then also in every pack, you get a foil. Hey, it's another Hoarding Ogre. Hey, buddy. Nice to see you. You get a foil in every booster. And then a token. Here's a copy token. Oh no, a doppelganger. Oh no. On the back, your next adventure awaits. Ooh, this is a piece of art I don't think we've shown off yet. This card is from the Commander decks. I made that card. You'll have to wait a few days to find out what it is, though. It's going to be previewed next week. I think the Party Time deck is being previewed by the Command Zone on game nights, so stay tuned for that. I think that the Blue-Black Mind Flayer deck is being previewed by Jumbo Commander. I think that if I can get the rest right, the Red-Green deck, or the Blue-Red deck is being previewed by Commander Versus, and the red-green deck is being previewed by MTG Mudsta. Cracked it. Cracked the code. Go watch those in a few days. It's going to be great. Okay, next pack, though. More to talk about. Let's keep on trucking here. Keep on trucking. Maybe that will be my weird catchphrase of the day. I don't know why I always have a weird catchphrase when I do these, but today, maybe it's going to be keep on trucking. We'll see if that sticks. Okay, here's Circle of the Land Druid. Great for that mill strategy. Mill some stuff, get a land back. This is a card, I mean, you know, Satyr Wayfinder has seen a ton of play in various commander strategies. So this is not too dissimilar from that. And it's a gnome, so check that out, by the way. Getting gnomes in Magic, more gnomes. Swordcoast Serpent. Now here's a great example of what I was talking about earlier. The creature with a adventure that is functional for the game and does something that we want you to have in decks, which is bounce a creature, helps you attack through, and then boom, a big banger late. Here's the Swordcoast Serpent, which you play and can help end games, right? You put this thing down, can't be blocked sometimes. Yeah. So, pretty good reason why it's there. Note, by the way, it's a Serpent Dragon, so it fits right into those dragon decks of yours. That's pretty cool. Xentarim Bandit. Xentarim, I know that one from Lords of Waterdeep. This guy, 2 mana, 2/1, attacks, makes a treasure token. Shades of the 1/3 that's in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Hoard Robber, that's what that card was called. But yeah, this can make treasure. I mean, in Commander, the boards are going to fill it fast, so it's hard to get through a ton with this card. So we made an attack trigger version instead of a combat damage version because you can still jam it in there, have it die to their creature, and get the treasure if you need to. But if you get multiple attacks in with this and multiple treasure, all the better. Here's Flaming Fist Officer. 3 mana, 2/2, a Gnome Soldier. When another creature you control leaves the battlefield, put a counter on it. Great for that black-white deck where stuff's leaving the battlefield all the time. I think it's funny, by the way. Flaming Fist is the militia of Baldur's Gate. They're not always red, though, so it's pretty funny to me that, I just think about Flaming Fist as Boros. Carnelian Orb of Dragon Kind. So this is a cycle. It's a semi-cycle. Actually, I don't even know if we have the right word for this. It's a partial cycle. There's one in each of the dragon colors. So one in red, one in green, and one in blue. They're all 3 mana rocks that are colored. I love the 3 mana colored mana rock space. I think there's a lot of fun designs there. We saw like Cursed Mirror as a fun one. I think there's a lot of room for stuff like that. Anyway, they all tap for mana of their color, and then if you cast a dragon with it, you get a bonus. In this case, you get haste. So, yeah, we had one of these that we liked, and then I suggested we do one in each of the 3 colors to really make it loud about dragons. So the original one, I think, was like a +1/+1 counter and haste, and instead we broke it up across all 3. So that's cool. Cloak of the Bat. Yeah, once again, equipment, just flying to help make sure that, or evasion, I should say. Well, not once again equipment. I think it's our first equipment, but evasion to help make sure that you can break through and deal damage to your opponents. Very important. In a Commander game where the board gets stalled, flying, huge. I think one of our biggest lessons from Commander Legends 1 is how often the board got stalled and players couldn't attack. So having so many ways to break through is going to be really important for this Commander draft format. Here's a reprint from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms that just made sense. Thieves' Tools gives you a treasure, which is great. Makes your stuff can't be blocked. Important for bashing through. In the Venture deck especially, can't be blocked is very powerful, so you can keep venturing, which we haven't seen yet, but we will get to eventually. Your temple's under attack. I'm so glad we got to return, or rather create some new choose one of 2 things with like flavor words on it cards. These were a blast in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms and really helped bring the flavor to life. So here you get to give all your creatures indestructible, or you and an opponent draw 2 cards. This bottom thing is not a thing that I think would make your deck on its own, but the combination of the 2 helps you smooth things out in really satisfying ways. Notably, I'll mention on the Strike a Deal mode, one of my favorite ways to play this card is wait until an opponent goes to their end step with 7 cards in their hand. Then you just fire this off, make them draw 2 cards. They're going to have to discard 2 cards anyway. So, on turn 3, even if they haven't done much, find an opponent with 7 cards, jam this, and they might just have to discard 2 cards anyway. You get max value out of your temple is under attack. Cool stuff. The Javelin of Lightning, a card that is quite a strong equipment, actually. You can flash it in, put it on your creature right away, it snaps on, and attack with it. First strike, also a great way to have creatures punch through. So once again, just looking to encourage you to attack and break down those board stalls. We often don't do first strike on defense anymore because it's just so brutal. Like a single 3 or 4 power first striker can hold off a ton of creatures. So, you know, on equipment anyway, we don't do a ton of first strike on defense. So this is only operable on your turn. The Underseller Myconoid, yes, fungi are here. Here's this thing. Makes some saprolings. It's a little boy. Taps for 1 mana of any color. Just a little efficient creature. Lets you play it in the sacrifice deck to good effect because, you know, you get a Myconoid when it enters and leaves. So you can play it, sacrifice it, get some tokens on the way in and out. Chump block with it. Great for chump blocking. Gives you three little blockers to block with. Here's the blue Orb of Dragon kind. Yep, so this one lets you scry when you cast a dragon. Perfect. Lapis Orb of Dragon kind. The Sturge. This is a card that looks pretty whatever, but is actually can be quite strong in this format. And the reason why is because of the initiative. Hitting someone for 1 point of damage can be huge. A flyer that can get through can be gigantic. Because of that initiative mechanic, where when you hit your opponent, you want to take the initiative. And we'll get into that when we find a card with initiative. But the fact that you can always cycle this thing away for 2 mana is such a low cost of entry on this. I think this card will really surprise you in Limited, the Sturge. Hey, here's Faceless One. So in the first Commander Legends, we did the Prismatic Piper as a solve for the partner. This time around, we're like, hey, we need to solve this again, because if you don't have a legend at the end of your draft, we need you to still be able to play the game of Magic if you don't find the right color of legend to play with. And so Faceless One is the solution. These are always available to you in the draft format. Now, you almost never have to use it. In fact, the first time around in Commander Legends, I heard almost basically no stories of people ever using the Prismatic Piper, which is good. This is funny in that it is a card which is intended that you will not have to use it, which is unlike most Magic cards. So yeah, it's intentionally not a strong card. It's intentionally a fail-safe card. But because you always have access to this, we made it weak on purpose. A 5-mana 3/3 is pretty unimpressive in Commander. Because we never wanted players to be tempted. Like, oh, if it was a 2-mana 2/2, you would just play this sometimes because it's on curve and a card you could play. So it's very intentionally inefficient. If you made it much bigger, if it was, say, a 6-mana 4/4 or a, 7-mana 5/5 or something, it would be a good. Sometimes you can just close out the game. You might play it as your commander if you don't have enough finishers. 5-mana 3/3 is really intended. Hey, you should not be playing this unless it's an absolute emergency, which is exactly what this card is intended for. Design-wise, I think it's very clever. This is both a creature and a background, right? It's an enchantment creature background. So Faceless One can background with itself. Once again, you should not have to do that very often, if at all. But funny thing about that card. Saddle of the Cavalier. Equipment that lets you punch stuff through. Common theme you'll find here. Punching through. Here's a cool card. You get to create a token of a creature, and it gains flying, so that's pretty awesome. And it's not legendary. So clone, eat your heart out. 4 mana, make a flying copy of that creature, and it can copy your legends. It's pretty darn sick. Now, the dagger about this versus clone is if they bounce it, the token goes away forever, so that's a little less awesome. But still, this is a very powerful card. I first picked this card a number of times. Duplicating your commander when your deck is presumably built around your commander, a strong thing to do. Now let's get into our 3 legends, right? Our 2 legendary creatures and our 1 background. Here's this Drow Apostle, which is very good in the black-green graveyard deck. I have always loved Oversold Cemetery, and this was my riff on that. I think I pitched this to Corey. So, cool to have that here. Oh, it's the Grizzly! I remember hearing about there being a legendary bear. I think this is a human trapped in a bear's body in Baldur's Gate lore, and we knew we had to make a card for this. So Corey's like, we're making this grizzly bear. It was super important to us that it was a 2-mana 2/2. And then from there, we were just like, how could a bear be awesome? And we added in, made it a keyword palooza. So you want to equip this guy up. You want to make him bigger. You want to put stuff on him. I think that's pretty charming. That on its own, just like this bear with all these abilities, and it can get to be quite saucy. The Flaming Fist. Speaking of which, here's the Flaming Fist I mentioned earlier, the Militia. So yeah, 2 legends, 1 background each pack. Oh, sick. This card is, I'm so excited for this card. This is a banger of a white mythic. Comes down, it costs 8 mana, sure, but then your combat step that turn is bananas. All your ETB triggers will trigger multiple times. This card can just kill people out of nowhere. I remember drafting this card once and being like, I think I'm gonna make it work. And I did. It was great. Granted, it was, I think, 6 mana back then, but you'll get to 8 mana in this format. It's no problem. Yeah, we tried this card a little aggressively at 6, and we very quickly learned this card was just ridiculous. So, yeah, this card, it's a big tammy late game spell, but when you cast it, it feels awesome. It just feels totally awesome. I love this thing. And then our foil, a rare background. Nice, right? So the foil can be any rarity, by the way, so you will end up with an extra rare sometimes. Here's Noble Heritage, which has a fun little kind of Orzhov Advocist line on here. I love getting these politics into the format where we can. And yeah, nice to have that there. Oh, it's a little goat, little goaty boy. A wee goat, as they would say in Scotland. I don't know, does anyone in Scotland actually say that? If you're from Scotland, let me know. Yeah, it's going to be a long opening. We're about a half hour in, and we're got through 2 booster packs, so, very nice. You're here for the stories, though, right? Everyone always says, make the videos long, I'm here for the stories, so. All right, Balls Invoker. We brought back some Invokers. Invokers are great ways to make sure that if the game goes long and the board is stalled, you can activate a big ability and do something cool. The Invokers we first saw in Onslaught block, they were creatures with 8 mana activated abilities that did something huge. Small creatures that did something huge for a big activation. So we brought them back here on a cycle of cards at common, and here's the red one, which will end games in short order, by the way. If you get 8 mana, you end step activate this, untap activate it again. That is 8 damage each of your opponents. So yeah, this card can definitely end games. And in your ramp deck, a great one to have around. Also, notably a dragon. Finding enough cheap dragons. One of the reasons why we did, I guess I should back up. One of the reasons why we did dragons as an archetype in the set across 3 colors is D&D is a very novel world because of the Dragonborn, right? There are these dragon creatures, which is not true. Small dragon, non-flying creatures, which is not true of most of Magic, right? Normally in Magic, dragons are big and flying. So this let us actually have multiple dragon archetypes because we could make enough small ground creatures. So Balls Invoker here is a 3 mana 4/2 non-flying dragon, which in normal Magic would look ridiculous and silly, but in Dungeons and Dragons is a totally normal thing because of the Dragonborn. So it's kind of a cool little thing we got to do there. Oh, hey, speaking of the dragon deck, this is a key card, the Scaled Nurturer. It's a 2 mana ramp spell that also gives you some life if you're casting dragons. So, I mean, you will play this card in your non-dragon deck just as a 2 mana ramp creature, but the fact that you'll get some life by casting dragons, just all the sweeter. Plus, even if you aren't heavy on dragons, turns out a lot of your 6-7 mana cards will probably just be dragons anyway, so good reward there. In decks that life gain is best too, in decks that are playing a long game, and well, hey, that's exactly what's happening here with the Scaled Nurturer. If you're playing a heavy dragon deck. The Kenku Artificer. So yeah, you get to animate one of your artifacts and make it attack. This card was a lot of fun. Seeing if you could get a cheap artifact down. One thing is that, some of the trinkety early artifacts you don't necessarily play in your deck. You play your mana rock. So this maybe gets some cards into your deck you wouldn't play otherwise if you have a number of these. But also, turn 2 mana rock, turn 3 Kenku Artificer is very interesting because it turns your mana rock into a creature. So you can either hit for a bunch of damage with it or use it to ramp out your cards. And yeah, becoming a flying creature early, once again, great for breaking through, but also great late because it will essentially almost guaranteed make you a 3/3 hasty flyer for 3 mana. So nice card. The Ghastly Death Tyrant. Yeah, so Beholders, of course, a key part of D&D. Originally, this card was the other 6 mana Beholder from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Cannot remember the name. But it wasn't doing the right stuff for this format. So we decided to make a new version of it, and it can either blow up enchantments, which is surprisingly relevant here because of all the backgrounds, right? So this can eat their background, force them to recast it, or give all your stuff Death Touch, so it's good at attacking. So just a big late game Beholder skeleton, nonetheless. Death Tyrants, am I right? Here's the Scouting Hawk. This card, talk about a sweet common. 3 mana 1/1. If your opponent has more lands than you, you get to go find a plains. So it helps ramp you in white, which is really nice. And as long as you're not the first player, pretty much always be able to do this on turn 3. Someone will have more lands than you if you just, or turn 4, I should say, not turn 3. So you just cast this on turn 4 before you've played your land. You go get a plains into play, ramping away. And you get a 1/1 flyer out of the deal too. Really nice card. Hoarding Ogre again. Talked about you already. Oh, we get our first rulebook frame card. This is some of the booster fun for the set. We put a bunch of cards in these kind of classic looking D&D rulebook frames inspired by the Monster Manual. We did it with all the legends, but the diamonds, thought it'd be cool to put them here too. They just look sweet in this frame, right? It's like a neat old artifact you found nestled in a dungeon somewhere. The diamonds are great mana fixers for the format because they're 2 mana rocks, so often what your commander deck needs, but they're locked to a single color. Because of the color identity rules, if these were, say, signets, you could only play the Boros signet in your red-white deck, which is very limiting and hard to make work. But a card like Prismatic Lens, any deck can play. And because ramp is so strong in Commander, it would get drafted really, really early. Well, the diamonds are locked to one color, which makes them feel like colored cards for the purposes of drafting. You're not going to take this if you're blue-red. You only take it if you're green. But it still gives you that acceleration on turn 2 on your mana rock, which is a staple part of the Commander format. So that's kind of why diamonds are great mana fixtures for Commander Legends. Hey, it's a unicorn! Finding 1-drop she'll play in Commander can be really hard to do, and this is a creature that comes down and it can pump all your tokens up later. So, and it's a unicorn. You love to see unicorns. Myriad returns, which is so exciting. One of my favorite Commander mechanics from Commander 2014, I think. Just in Commander, there's a lot of life rolling around. There's the initiative, which we still somehow haven't seen, and hitting a bunch of opponents is really good. But notably, red is also has some sacrifice stacks, so you can sack those tokens after they deal damage before they get exiled for effects, so keep that in mind. Team Nets Fanatics, good stuff. Love Myriad. Hey, it's another one of these choose a type gates. Here's the Black Dragon gate. Here's an Impetus, talked about you already. Wayfarer's Bauble reprinted at Common. Commander's Quarters can rejoice. With this D&D artwork we saw last time around in the D&D Commander decks last year. So glad to have that here. Just Commander staple, great card to pick up, ramp for any deck. I don't need to tell you how good Wayfarer's Bauble is. You played with this one before. Hey, it's the white Impetus. Once again, new artwork for this guy. They all get new artwork here. Just helps the game keep moving. Pumps up all your creatures, makes your token go wide strategy. Nice. Notably, because of Myriad, you can stack the triggers if you put this on your own creature, or if they put it on yours for that matter, so that the Myriad copies get the +1/+1 off of this. So keep that in mind. Made sure that worked. The Knoll Warband. Yep, here's another sweet Myriad card. Comes down for cheaper if your opponents have been dealt a lot of damage, or if you've hit each opponent rather, which turns out is exactly what Myriad does. So, with your turn 2 Genasi Enforcer, I think is what it's called, where it has Myriad, if you play that on turn 2, attack on turn 3 and hit 3 opponents, you can slam this thing down on turn 3. So, you can, it's quite a strong move. Doesn't happen that often, but the red-white kind of aggressive deck is important to have enough strong cards like this to put pressure on early, and Knoll Warband does the trick. Bag of Holding, another AFR reprint, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms reprint. Just super flavorful. We looked for stuff in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms that was flavorful to bring back, and this was a good one. So, just a little bit of card filtering. The Sharpshooter Elf. Green can deal damage to flyers. Classic bit of green's color pipe, doesn't like flying creatures. So here's a true top-down archer, right? It's got reach, gets bigger, and then pew, can shoot down a flyer when it comes into play. Evasion is very important. Also, killing off evasion is important, so it feels like you can do something, especially if you're like green and don't have a lot of flyers yourself. So Sharpshooter Elf, great for that. This card's pretty strong. It's usually kills off a creature and then, has a huge power on it. Only 2 toughness, but, you can find ways to maybe sneak it through or what have you. Great loaded card. Okay, now we're going to go into our legends. We've got this background here, the Criminal Past. Gives your stuff menace. It's good for the black-green deck. Here's Lazel Vlakith's Champion. I think that's how you say that. This is like a half doubling season, or a peer, I suppose, in white, which is great. One of the things that we've been trying to do is whenever we make an effect that could be white, let's put it in white instead of whatever color it was in before, because white probably hasn't gotten it, and white could, use the help in commander. And I think that you've probably noticed in this set there's a lot of gas for white, and Streets of New Capenna commander as well, for that matter, to really try and give it the tools it needs. So yeah, this is like a peer, but in white. So you can play this with whatever background you want. Oh, I guess you don't always get 3 legends. I thought you did, but maybe it's 2, and then sometimes you get a third. Maybe that's what we ended up on. We tried a lot of configurations. 2, and sometimes you get a third. It was a long time ago. Speaking of transitions, here's Bear Cub. Super adorable. I remember Corey had the idea for doing an Bear Cub, and we didn't know what it was going to do, but we know we wanted to do one. And super freaking cute. Punishing people who have a lot of lands in play is something that we've been talking about doing, and punishing them not by destroying their lands, but just by giving you a sweet thing, which Bear Cub does precisely. And he has another Parasitic Impetus in foil at the back here. Very cool. And there's the initiative. Here's the initiative tracker. So this is what the token that says you have the initiative will look like. You pass this around the table, like the Monarch. And then if you have it, you venture into the dungeon every turn. When you take it, you venture into the dungeon. And here's the dungeon you go through. It took a very long time to get initiative to where it is now, and you make all the modes relevant on here. It plays really well. It's like Monarch and Limited, which is very important, a very important piece of the limited format of Commander Legends 1. Plays very similar to that here, but with more options. It's not always a card. And notably, some of the things on this help push the game forward more than drawing a card does, like dealing 5 damage or making a 4/1 token, or of course this last room that gives you a huge creature. So just really focusing on pushing that game forward. All right, pack number 4. Long way to go here. Oh, perfect timing. Wow, just like we drew it up. Explain the initiative, show you an initiative card. There it is. Notably small, once again, non-flying dragon for your red-green dragon deck. But yeah, just a nice creature that comes down mid-curve, takes the initiative. You want to get the initiative rolling in any game, basically, of battle for Baldur's Gate. It's really fun. You can expect it to show up in every limited game. So having a mid-sized creature that can either take it back or put it into play is nice. And then Trample, of course, helps you reclaim the initiative. So a little nod there. Draconic Lore. Yeah, this is a card I have played a lot in limited format and found pretty strong, because a lot of the times you can just draw 3 cards for 4 mana, which is nice. Concentrate is a card which I'll basically always play in Commander Legends Limited. And even sometimes in my full-on Commander decks. So this is a cool dragon-themed draw spell, which is nice. I love the cute little baby dragon here. Nice work. Tom, Babby. Armor of Shadows. Small combat tricks are pretty fun, right? Your opponent plays a sweeper, tries to kill your thing off, and you give it indestructible. Yeah, just a nice commander-sized trick. 1 mana, keep your guy alive. The Icewind Stalwart is here. This flickers your stuff. Great for the white-black deck, of course. The white-blue archetype, I believe, is flicker as well. Or is flickering, at least. So this is great in that deck in particular. And notably, you can't target warriors, so you can't go infinite with this, right? You can't target itself. Although I'm sure there's some weird creature type changing card you could use that would do the trick, but in general, you can't do that easily here. But blinking is fun. Worst case you untap something. Best case you get an ETB effect. Oh, here's a big card. It's like Fiery Cannonade from the first round of Commander Legends, but for dragons this time. Might even see some Pauper play. Yeah, you want to have some common sweepers too. And here's a red common sweeper, deals 2 damage to everything. Or I should say all non-dragons, keeps your dragons alive. There are a lot of dragons running around, so it won't always hit all your opponent's stuff too. But that's the price you pay for a sweet sweeper like this. Instant speed even, right? So you can jam it on their turn, their combat step, finish off creatures with 2 more damage. It's nice. Here's Circle of Land Druid again, seen you already. Marble Diamond, the white one of the Diamond Cycle. Mold Folk, sounds like a blast at parties. 2 mana, 1/1 lifelink, lets you sack creatures, put counters on it. Great for the Sacrifice deck. Notably, sacrificing an artifact here is important because with all the treasure running around, late game you might just have gobs of treasure with no use. Well, Mold Folk makes a great use for those. Toss them on here, bash your opponents. Guardian Naga, this is exactly, I previewed this card, first of all, and this is exactly what I was talking about earlier with the adventures, where you have an effect that might not go into your deck normally, that you want in, and then a big hitter late. So, good work, Guardian Naga. First white Naga, too, I believe. So there's something. T-Math Fanatics again. The Nimble Right Schematic. This card is modeled after Servo Schematic from Kaladesh block. I think that card was an Ether Revolt. It's just basically the same card, but servos don't exist in the world of Dungeons & Dragons. So here's Nimble Right Schematic, which is not making a servo, but making a construct instead. Plays well. Oh, I love every time we do Runaway together, the different art gags. So seeing this Illithid run away with, I think is that an elf or something, is delightful, right? They care about each other so much, they're going to run away together. True love means always knowing what's on the other's mind. I think bad relationship advice, but good for flavor text for this card. But what do I know? I'm not going to talk about relationships in a Magic video. That's a whole different video. Underdark Explorer. This is a nice little cheap initiative taker. Once again, Menace helps you reclaim the initiative, so that is nice. Another great example, right? Give me stuff flying. You're not going to play like 2 mana, give some stuff flying, but really nice on an adventure. Helps you punch through, take the initiative once maybe, or surprise block. It is an instant after all. And if you have 6 mana total, which is how I will often play this card, you play Pixie Dust, give 3 things flying, bash 3 opponents, slam down the Pixie, draw 3 cards, which is very strong. So yeah, I mean, pretty easy to get this card to draw you 1 card, sometimes 2. So, you know, Muldrifter fans, pay attention to this card. Draws you a ton of cards. Hey, the boots! You know, Commander Staple Swiftfoot boots. This and Lightning Greaves, 2 important cards. Not much more to say than that, so enjoy. Yeah, you'll want to draft this and play it. It's a powerful Magic card. Giant Ankeg. This is huge. We want to have enough burly creatures at uncommon in the format so that you could play and, you know, end games once again. 8 mana, 8/8 Trampler, Ward 2, gives all your stuff Trample and Ward 2. This is an extremely burly uncommon. In a former life, many years ago, when, you know, this could have even been a rare, would have been a bad rare, but, you know, this card is a house. You slam this thing down, your opponent's going to have a lot of trouble. So, yeah, a great late game card. And it's Commander. You'll get the 8 mana, right? Here's Abdul Adrian Gorian's Ward. This thing exiles a bunch of stuff and gives you tokens, and when it dies, they all come back. So really good for the Flicker deck. I remember playing, where is it? These 2 together in a draft. It was a very... Oh, well, no, we probably nerfed it. Well, this is a warrior now, so this is non-warrior now, so you can't combo these anymore. Forget I said anything. This is why we test the cards. I was gonna say it was ridiculous, and glad that we changed it. That's why we do those things. Anyway, good chat, everyone. You had a little designer moment there, but regardless, great in your blue-white blink deck, your black-white lose the battlefield deck. Gives you some tokens, lets you exile some stuff. Because then when this dies, they'll all come back. You'll get their ETBs again. Here's the Cloakwood Hermit. Wants you to put cards into your graveyard and make squirrel tokens. Cute. I love, by the way, the flavor text on the backgrounds is all second person, right? Really implying you've been doing this. And you can never see the person's face. So it's like a mysterious character talking about you. You've never seen their face. It's pretty cool. Here's Gale's Redirection. We have a cycle of these, I think this is a full cycle of these dice rolling spells at rare that are pretty cool. And yeah, this is a 5 mana counter spell. It does exile the spell though, so it deals with uncounterable stuff, gets rid of it forever. And then you get a bonus out of it. You know, you either get to cast it later or cast it for free later. Spelljack is a card I've always loved, and this is, you know, it's kind of like a Spelljacky style card. So I can anticipate myself playing with this. And then for a foil, we get, the Swordcoast Serpent is back to end games and take names. And here's the initiative one more time. All right, setting this over here. On to pack number 5. Wow, we are definitely in for the long haul. Although it does, you know, if you've never watched these videos before, it does get a lot shorter as we, you know, I've seen all the commons. I'm not going to just, you know, tell the same stories about the same commons over and over again. So, all right. Here's the new card, though. Druid of the Emerald Grove. This is what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned commander-sized dice rolling cards. Because either 4 mana, get 2 lands into your hand, pretty solid. 4 mana Cultivate, get a 2/2, very good. And then occasionally you'll just play 4 mana 2/2, get 2 lands into play. That's pretty uncommon, but the fact that this is Cultivate half the time and you get a 2/2 is really nice. And I'll play a 4 mana 2/2, get 2 lands anyway. So this is a nice card just in Commander at large. I can see playing this in some of my mainstream Commander decks. And Limited, yeah, definitely going to want to pick this. Green Dwarf Druid. Druid of the Emerald Grove. Here's another reprint from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Once again, just makes sense. You know, it's flavorful, worth the first time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what he'd say, right? Okay. I was going to say if it ain't fixed, don't broke it, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Here's this dude. Makes few players sacrifice creatures. This is a reprint or a functional reprint, or very similar, I should say, functional reprint to Slum Reaper. But there's a key word on this card, non-token. What we found is people would just always sack their 1/1 soldier tokens. Well, you're not getting out of it that easy. You got to actually sacrifice a real creature. So this card forces them to do just that, which is pretty nice. Here's the Scouting Hawk again. Ramp it up. The Reckless Barbarian. 2 mana 2/2. Yeah, not a thing you normally play in Commander, but it is important to have a mana curve in a Commander draft format, so finding other functions for your cheap creatures is important. And this Barbarian comes down, maybe hits for a turn or two, and then you can just crack it for 2 mana and play your big dragon early. Notably, it's a dragon yourself, so it goes right into your dragon deck, so that's kind of nice. Here's the Etter Cap. Once again, the story I've told you before, effect that doesn't always make your main deck, kill off a flyer, and then a reach creature. Card that really makes sense. You gotta love the creature type Spider Beast. Look at this guy just shooting webs out of his mouth. So tall, so spidery, kills off flyers. Flavor. Charcoal Diamond, Black Diamond. Guardian Naga, hello again. You've been caught stealing, oh no! Well, what happens next? Well, you're gonna either threaten that merchant or bribe the guards. Once again, love these modal cards. Each creature blocks its turn if able is a surprisingly powerful line of text. You can really force your opponent to lose a bunch of stuff they didn't want to lose. So for a common, this card can do a lot. I play it as the first option more often than the second, but you can also, use it as 2 mana, make 3 treasure if you want to. Notably, once again, even if that treasure comes in late, you can still sack that treasure to your effects. So that's pretty nice. Dawnbringer Cleric, another great reprint from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Just love the 3 abilities on this. They're perfect matches. Here's a Looter. This card, Looters are very strong and limited, and this card, even with the 1 mana attached to it, is still very good at finding you what you need. Notably, again, this is a dragon, so it goes into your blue-based dragon deck really nicely, and helps you loot for stuff. Finding big creatures you want to hit, sorting out your lands late game. Also goes into a lot of other archetypes, but keep in mind this can go into your dragon deck, and it's a 2 mana 1/2 dragon. A thing you would not normally find in Magic once again, but because of the Dragonborn, makes it sense here. Here's this Torch. Originally, fun fact, the initiative was called the Torch. It was called You Take the Torch. Our idea was you took the torch as you were venturing further and further into the dungeon. The initiative made a lot more sense as a name. That was just our playtest name. But I think it's funny that we eventually did get a Torch made that has initiative on it as a colorless initiative card. The Dread Linorm. Combat trick plus big creature. A classic adventure pairing. Reminds me of that Oak from Eldraine. And Snake Dragon. You'll find a lot of dragon types. Dragons crossing with a lot of things here. Because A, Dungeons and Dragons, and B, the dragon draft archetypes. Meteor Golem. This is such a great commander staple, right? It blows up whatever you need it to hit. There's always problematic artifacts and enchantments around, especially with backgrounds. Keep in mind, by the way, you can just put backgrounds in your deck, not as your commander. So killing those will, of course, make them gone forever, or at least put them in the graveyard. Not always forever in a game of Commander, but so having answers to those is really important. And just, 7 mana, kill off a troubling creature in a deck that doesn't have a lot of creature removal, maybe, like blue-green. Really nice. So Meteor Golem, great card. Really solid reprint. Happy to have it here and flavored for D&D, which is pretty fun. Manifold Key, a reprint, but just something that helps your creatures get through, which is nice. Find flavor one for this set, but especially this unblockability is big. Notably, you can target anyone's creatures. I always like that because it creates some fun politics of, you go attack Jane and I'll make your thing unblockable for you. So blockability, also very important with Venture, again. Here's the Stone Speaker Crystal. So, this is like a Your Golem's Eye or Sisay's Ring style card, but it can also eat players' graveyards and cantrip, which is a pretty big deal. Having answers to graveyards that are one shot is nice. But Relic of Progenitus is so efficient and makes it so hard to play graveyard-focused decks. This is, a little more of a deck building cost to put in. And a great limited-sized card, but also, I can see this being played in some commander strategies. Like compared to Hedron Archive, which is a card that is played a lot, or at least a decent amount, this is Hedron Archive, but instead of the second card you draw, you get to exile your opponent's graveyards, which honestly could be well worth it in Commander a lot of the time, given graveyard shenanigans. Another thing we've been trying to do for full-on Commander is find ways to get graveyard hate into decks, because we think the format needs more graveyard hate in it. I'm sorry, all you graveyard players out there, but people often just cut it. So how can we get it in really innocuous ways? And well, Mana Rock is an easy way to tempt people to play graveyard hate in their deck. So that's what's going on here. Here's a background. Inspiring Leader gives all your creature tokens +2/+2, lets you bash for a bunch. This card can deal a ton of damage out of nowhere, or if it's in your command zone, out of very obvious place. But regardless, turning all your 1/1 tokens into +2/+2 is a big deal. Notably, though, it also turns all your Myriad tokens into +2/+2. So keep that in mind. It pumps up your Myriad stuff too. Oh, here's Janssen in this awesome rulebook frame. It's a fun little gnome artificer. This is our take at a Mardu kind of artifacty commander. Lets you just basically convert resources, which for all the players who love grinding stuff out, is going to be great for you. You can just sack an artifact creature, make 2 treasure, sack 1 less treasure, make 2 constructs, loop, 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 loop. Just slowly build stuff. Thanks, Janssen. Here's the White Plume Adventurer, our rare. There's a cycle of these, one for each color. These rares that take the initiative, and if you've completed a dungeon, you get a big bonus. They're all named after different adventurer, different dungeons you can go into. White Plume being a good fit for the white card. We were talking about if Seedborn Muse or an effect like that could be white, and made this, and I think it's a cool thing to have in white. So let me know what you think about it. I think it's a cool card. And ooh, a foil rare, nice. I love these kind of secretly choosing cards. It's a lot of fun. Big fan of secretly choosing. And yeah, this card will kill a bunch of stuff, but you're never quite sure what. So it's fun sweeper. This one plays really, really fun. Called the Void. Then we get another initiative tracker here. Lots of those rolling around because every player is going to want to have their dungeon to walk through. Although the way we often play is we put the dungeon in the center of the table and have everyone walk through the same dungeon with like minifigs. I think there's going to be an oversized dungeon in the bundle or something maybe. So you can do that with ease. All right, on to pack. I think this is pack number 6. Yeah, wow. Yeah, we're going to be here for a while. Okay, another Impetus. You're back. Hello, Psychic Impetus. Great to have you here. The Vicious Battle Rager. Just a nice cheap initiative thing. I think it's cool that this is essentially afflicting. And it's like, hey, if I hit you, I'll take the initiative. If you block it, you'll take 5 damage. Choose between 2 bad things. I think that's a fun question. Fun gameplay. Here's the Flaming Fist Officer again. Seeing you. The Orb. Seeing you. The Druid. Seeing you. Prophetic Prism. Banned in Pauper card. Mana fixing is just nice to have around. Also for the artifact synergies, a cheap artifact is good for the format. And this card is just so great at fixing your colors, right? If you're going to play that 3-color deck, it's a card you'll pick up. You're never like, oh my gosh, Prophetic Prism. I mean, maybe I am sometimes, but most of the time you're not like, yeah, I'm so glad to have this. But a cheap cantripping artifact, I mean, the floor is pretty high on this card. Like, you just cast it, you'll draw a new card right away. It'll fix your mana. So that's nice. Just don't play it in Pauper. We banned it. Ooh, Rulebook Diamond. That's cool. What the charcoal one looks like. Oh, a Mimic. We got a new Mimic in. Here's the Dire Mimic. Not to be confused with the Mimic from last time around. This one can become a creature. So you can either play it on 2 mana, just have it sit and play if you want to, ramp it do a kind of a weak ramp spell. But it also just comes down and can be a big creature. So for 5 mana, you can just ambush someone, right? If they attack you, you play this, you activate it right away, you make a 5/5. So like a good Mimic, it can ambush people, or it can just sit and play, telling people don't attack you as you leave mana untapped. So you can do some good rattlesnake in there too, as Mimic should do. You gotta love that Mimic in the closet, right? That's the teeth right there. If you don't know Mimics, I imagine most of you do, but if you don't know them, Mimics are treasure chests or other things that are actually a living creature tempting you to come inside so they can eat you. Delightful. Here's a card, great for that sacrifice limited deck. Sacrifices your stuff, flip your top card, you can play it this turn. A Tiefling, so that's kind of cool. Command Tower, of course there's Command Tower with brand new artwork here. Lots of towers in the Forgotten Realms and Dungeons & Dragons, Baldur's Gate, and all these D&D places, mini towers you go into in your adventures. Great common. One of the most powerful cards in the set. A lot of people wouldn't classify it as that, but Command Tower is just so flippin' strong. Here's the Looter again. Here's this Guildhorn Prowler. We all love this card. We fell in love with this card during playtesting because it's very funny to try and figure out how you can get this thing to die. Right? So normally you use your Death Touchers to block. Okay, sure. But this one wants to die while either attacking or while being sacrificed. And often, your opponent isn't gonna want to block it as a Death Toucher. So things will give you a card back. So it's a great way to help make sure that you'll can either punch through to get the initiative or at least get a card out of it. Or once again in your sack deck, you can sack it outside of combat and draw a card. So I think this is a really clever design, the Guildhorn Prowler. You're confronted by robbers, another one of these choose a things card. Often you'll make the tokens, but sometimes you'll tap the creatures. Their only mistake was giving the bard time to speak. Gate Colossus, I think that's funny, this reprint from Ravnica made sense here, but there's enough gates around and you need some big hitters that it's a good fit. Helps make sure the game ends. So that's pretty cool. Geode Golem, this is a card I made in Commander 2018. It's fun card that wants you to hit to play your commanders out. With 2 commanders in your command zone, getting to cast one of them for free is really nice. And the Trample helps bust through, take the initiative. So, cool artifact to have back here. Here's the Sharpshooter Elf again. Going into the Legends, we got Criminal Past one more time. I've already got a Criminal Past, though, which is... Don't, of course, send that to the police, please. Raga Draga, so exciting. This was a big winner for us. We loved Raga Draga. We thought that a Mana Ability Matters commander in red-green was very charming. And, really happy with this card. It's pretty fun to be like, hey, I'm playing all my Llanowar Elves in a deck and stuff. And, it's cool that we're still finding really novel niche commanders to make. We're really trying to get out of making generically good commanders and make a bunch of niche commanders, which is what you'll find in this set. So you can go build the deck you've never built before. In this case, a red-green Mana Elf style deck. Ooh, the Elder Brain. Sweet card. I think... Did I design this one? Or maybe... No, maybe... I don't remember if I designed this or Corey made it or something, or I riffed on it. But anyway, when you attack, they exile their hand... and you to cast them forever. So, pretty brutal magic card, by the way. They do get those cards back, but they do draw that many cards. But you're probably getting 4 or 5 cards you can play from exile with this. So yeah, quite the powerhouse of a magic card. Attack someone with this feels real good. And then a foil Cloud Kill. Uncommon Sweepers, important once again for limited. And this, can kill everything pretty much if you have a big enough commander. It does make you choose interesting commanders to play, right? Because this is not going to be nearly as good if you have a 3 mana cost commander as a 6 mana cost commander. So in general, we're incentivizing high mana cost commanders because the game naturally incentivizes you to play cheap mana cost commanders because they come down earlier. You can recast them for cheaper. So finding things that key off your mana value, like Stinging Study in Strixhaven, is really nice. All right, that was that pack. On to the next booster. The next booster here. It's going a little faster now. We're talking through some of the comments I've already seen. Oh, there's a lot of comments we haven't seen yet, so many stories yet to be told. Like this ambitious Dragonborn, who gets bigger equal to the number of, the greatest power, rather, among your creatures in play in your graveyard. Notably, this is for the green-black graveyard deck. But you can also play it in your dragon deck sometimes, because you'll have some big burly creatures in play. So it's a good multi-purpose card. And the dream, of course, is you mill on turn 2 your Earthquake Dragon, which is like a 16/16 or something, and you slam this down as a 4 mana 16/16 on turn 4. If you get to live that dream, tag me. I want to know about it. Dream Fracture, fun reprint. I think we reprinted this in Conspiracy 1 because it was so much fun in multiplayer. But yeah, it's a counterspell where you both get a card back. Take you a little bit of giveth, a little bit of taketh away, but a little bit of good times. It's a fun card. Originally from Eventide, I think, but gone on to be a fun multiplayer card. Murder, you know what happens in Baldur's Gate? Murders. Need I explain more? Just great efficient removal spell. Another reprint from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms that fits really nicely. Kills off the creature, more or less. They get a treasure out of it, but no big. Just a solid removal spell, right? 4 mana, kill something off. Prophetic Prism again. Here's the Decanter of Endless Water. This is a fun one, right? The Reliquary Tower mana rock. You know, Reliquary Tower sees a lot of play, and we thought, hey, what if we put that on a 3 mana rock? I think there's a lot of space for 3 mana rocks. People play a lot of 2 mana ones, but 3 mana with ability is kind of a cool spot, and I think Reliquary Tower mana rock, for the decks that are drawing tons of cards, you're a zombie deck or whatever, this is perfect. Dawnbringer Cleric again. Here's a wacky card. The 4 mana 4/4 green flying creature. You don't see that one every day. This definitely had a lot of color pie related discussions. But you know, here's the deal with the Lurking Green Dragon. It can't attack unless they have a flyer, so it's mostly just a reach creature unless they have a flyer, right? 4 mana, 4/4, can block flying creatures. Hey, that's reach for you. But if they have a flyer, it can leap into the air and go after it and attack them. So a very, very atypical green common flying creature. You do not see this every day. I would not treat this as precedent, but it is a very interesting from a design perspective Magic card. Here's a much more typical dragon, though. It's a big flyer that taps something. I mentioned earlier that there's some cards that do that, so they can't block with it, and you goad it. So you tap something, they can't attack with it. You tap something so they can't block with it, and then you goad it so they can't just chump block someone else's creature before it has to attack. And yeah, you also get a 6 mana 3/5 flyer out of the deal. Big dragon. Oh yeah, but here's the card I was talking about earlier. Perfect, right next to each other, right? So here's 2 goady boys for you. Goad, as I mentioned in a video, several months ago now, is Commander Evergreen, so we can put it in sets like Baldur's Gate, no problem. We think Goad is pretty fun. Here's Inspired Tinkering. This is a new card. Lets you bottle your top 3 cards plus get 3 treasures. So you get to cast those cards until the end of your next turn. So lots of time to cast them. But yeah, make some treasure. So you can help cast those spells. It's a really natural pairing of effects. And if you keep the treasure around to sack or stuff later, all the better. I think this is a really, really nice design. Fits really nicely. Here's once again, a fun commandery, like Swords to Plowshares variant. You kill off a creature, and they get something for it. What do they get? You never quite know. So, people will play 2 mana exile target, the blue 2 mana exile target creature or artifact. They get a 4/4 card, so this is pretty close to that on the 1 through 9, but it only gets better as you go up, giving them only a 2/2 and then eventually a 0/1 white goat. So, nice 2 mana removal spell. You can be proactive, get killing stuff off. And who knows? Maybe if things go well, you can upgrade your own creature. Who's to say? Contraband Livestock, really funny card. Here's another Myriad card that lets you tap a creature from each opponent as you attack. 3 mana 3/3 with upside is a pretty nice one. All right, 3 mana 3/3 Myriad, attack everyone, tap your stuff. It's pretty common. This will hit for 9 points of damage total on the 4th turn because you'll tap whatever blocker they have. So yeah, this card lets your red-white deck keep hitting hard, which once again in Commander, punching through that early damage, very important. Just helps lower those life totals down. Skanos Dragonheart. Here's a choose a background card. This is great for your dragon decks and your graveyard decks. Very similar to this guy, right? Really calls back to this card. This can get pretty darn huge, right? Pretty easy to make this, 8/8 or larger attacker. So he battles. The Scion of Halaster. Both gives you a little bit of card selection and puts stuff back into your graveyard, or puts stuff into your graveyard rather. So that's nice. Great for that black-green deck. Ooh, the Vexing Puzzle Box. This is a card that I adore. I think it was me who pushed Corey to move the number up really high, or maybe, I don't remember exactly. I don't want to take credit for this if I didn't do it, but I thought it was really funny that you rolled dice and then you wanted to roll really high numbers and get up to 100. It made me smile a lot. So this is a really cool Mana Rock variant. I think this will see some play, right? Because you can just play it as a 3 mana Mana Rock, and then someday you can go get your free Aether Bridge or whatever ridiculous card you want. So Really cool design. I love just roll big numbers on dice as a mechanic. Here's the Guildhorn Prowler again, and then, oh, Construct token. Check out that guy. Mustachioed Construct. This will be, I think, many people's new favorite construct. This is made by that Servo Schematic-esque card. All right, next booster. Cracked it open the first time and having so much trouble with these packs. Here's a card, a strong initiative card. This card's great. I know Popper's even talking about it. This card will see play, so time will tell on that one. But this card's pretty good. 4 mana, take the initiative, and you can make it a 3/6 flyer off that +2/+2 mode on the dungeon. So pretty strong. If you put the counters on him on the second rung of the dungeon. Merkul's Edict. One of the things about edicts, they don't often make decks. Just 1 mana sacks a creature. So this one is a little more tempting because half the time it'll hit each opponent, which can be quite good. And then, on the rare occasions you hit a 20, you get their biggest thing. So this one makes the cut sometimes. And I think it's a good solve for a commander-based edict. Once again, commanderizing the size of the effect, caring about each opponent. I think it's a clever take on it. I get some toucans in Magic. Yeah, I previewed this card. Just a nice myriad flyer, right? 5 mana, 3/2 flyer, nothing to write home about. But once again, bash for 9 in the air every turn. Pretty good stuff. Here's Coronation of Chaos. Make stuff not block and goad them. Kind of similar to the other red common we saw. Goading's pretty fun. Making people attack each other. It's surprisingly strong, so big fan of this. Here's the green one. We found it. +1/+1, it gets hexproof till your next turn. The Jade Orb of Dragon kind. It lets you play your big dragon and make sure it will stick around all the way until your next turn. Another Draconic Lore, Citadel Gates, the Warehouse Thief, Blur. It's a great one-word card name, D&D spell, and this is the perfect effect for it. Flickering and drawing you a card. I think, what's the card? Acrobatic Maneuver or something like that from Kaladesh. That wasn't white. This card's always super fun because you can either untap your creature with it or get your ETBs out of it. Great for the blue-white blink deck. I just love when we find these great one-word card names that are D&D spells that really fit what the spell does. So Blur's nice. It's a nice little common here. Command Tower again. Nefarious Imp. Here's a new one. This is a great card for your sacrifice deck or your black-white leaves the battlefield deck. So it kind of bridges the gap between those two. In black, 2/1 flyer, fine to have around with the initiative rolling, and lets you cash in a little bit of scrying every time you sack permanents or they leave the battlefield, or just stuff dies in combat. You just get to scribe it extra times. Great for finding exactly what you need. Another one of these, the Navigation Orb. This is a nice little riff on Armillary Sphere, right? 3 mana artifact. You can sack it to go get 2 basic lands or gates, relevant text, and one of them comes into play, unlike Armillary Sphere. So a little more expensive than the Sphere, but you do get to ramp yourself with this, which is really nice. And yeah, it gets you 2 gates, which could be quite nice. Maybe your Maze's End deck is going to want this. We'll have to wait and see. Candlekeep Exploration. So this is like a blue overrun, in a sense. It helps your adventure deck actually end the game. 5 mana sorcery, makes all your stuff big, and you've been playing a bunch of instant sorceries, and you got adventures in your graveyard. One thing that we tried to do in this set that we noticed really earlier is stuff that cares about instants and sorceries is a little bit tricky because your adventures make up a bulk of your deck, or a lot of your instant sorceries, but they don't work with Archaeomancer or whatever. So we do this thing on a couple cards that call out and or have an adventure printed on the card. So that they work with your Instant Sorcery Matters cards, which is kind of what's going on here, the Candlekeep Inspiration. The Dungeoneers pack. This card's nice. Just a cheap way to take the initiative. Gives you a card, gives you a treasure, gives you whatever you need. Gives you a little bit of everything. Here's Imoen. I got to preview this card too. It's a nice initiative. Nice initiative card. It doesn't give you the initiative itself, but if you've been taking it and keeping it, it draws you some extra cards, so it kind of monarchifies it for you. And it's got choose a background, so you get to pick something fun to go with it. Here's a cool card. So blue-red dragons also has some adventure stuff going on. So you can play blue-red dragons with some adventures, and turns out, hey, a lot of dragons have adventure on them, and this can really fry your opponent's creatures, which is nice. We might wonder why I'd say that isn't a commander on here. We found that when your opponent is playing their commander and you're just killing it every turn, it's pretty unfun gameplay because your entire deck is built around your commander. So on a repeated removal spell like this, we wrote non-commander on it just so you can't fry their commander every time they cast it. Here's a background, Veteran Soldier. You get some 1/1s out of it. Really good in the red-white deck. So, yeah, lets your commander get in and make a bunch of tokens. Monster Manual. First of all, what a cool card to get it in here, right? Flavor-wise, just the D&D set has a Monster Manual, perfect. But this card is also just very strong, right? For 3 mana, you get to look at your top 5, take a creature card. That's fine. But the artifact that is 4 mana and then 2 tap to put a creature into play. I mean, we've come a long way from Quicksilver Amulet, and this is Quicksilver Amulet with other fun stuff going on. So I think this will see a decent amount of commander play. Really fun take on the Monster Manual, for sure. Here's Winter Eldrin again. And then, Pegasus. There's your 1/1 Pegasus token from that 6 mana white card. Oh, it's so cool opening these up. Just seeing all the cards in one place, finally. You know, we designed sets and so long ago, and we finally get printed and out to the public. It's really great. All right, here's the green Invoker. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a cycle of these Invokers. And this makes your land an 8/8 until end of turn. So lets your land bash in for a ton of damage. Just helps make sure those games end. Sylvanas' Invoker right here. And there's an Invoker. We'll see if we open it, but in case we don't, there is an Invoker commander. I think Dinah here is their name. That cares about Invokers specifically, which is pretty funny. Or, well, you'll see if we open the card. It's not specific, but it's pretty clear it works well with Invokers. Here's a Merfolk that can't be blocked. So that's nice. So as long as you have your commander, it can basically get big and attack people. Can't be blocked. And really important for taking that initiative. This card is really nice for helping you grab the initiative every turn. So just have your commander in play, you know? As long as you control your non-background commander, it's good to go. That's what's going on here with the commander as a creature planeswalker, by the way. So it doesn't just, if you have your background in play, it's not just on, which would be so easy to have it always turned on. Deadly Dispute. I know people will be stoked to have this card reprinted. It was, very popular, common out of Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and it's back. It plays well. It's back here. Great sort of tier. Yeah, this card at common is, we debated this for a long time. It's really strong because it both grows your creature and helps it get through every single turn. But we decided that, getting through and breaking those board stalls was so important that having a good common tapping equipment was worth it. So pick this thing highly. It's really good. Here's the young red dragon, little guy. You can make an adventure on turn 2 and then play a dragon on turn 4. Notably, you can also curve the adventure into the dragon. So you can play this on turn 2 and play this on turn 3 if you want to. Or to save your treasure. Here's a little team up fight spell, which has Boo and Minsk in the artwork, which is perfect for this 2 creatures dealing damage. Makes me smile. I guess, Boo is Boo. The Boo token is made in this set. Can't actually target Minsk in this set with it, which is, sort of funny, but still works pretty well, I think, flavor-wise. And you get a hamster in front of the artwork. What's not to love there? Boo and Minsk, huge fan favorite from the set. Man or gate, asking the big questions. Is it a man or a gate? The art makes it pretty obvious, but you can't ever be too sure. Here's the Myconid again. Pseudo-dragon familiar. Is it a dragon? Is it not? Well, it's only kind of pseudo a dragon. This is a nice cheap flyer that helps your stuff break through. Once again, recurring theme. Getting your stuff to break through. Very important. Big creatures. Also a recurring theme. Hezru is here. A little frog demon. So how about that for a type line? And it can just be a fine combat trick early too. I think for 1 mana, this can shrink something. Getting combat tricks into commander is generally pretty fun. So it doesn't happen that often, but this is a nice little combat trick you can play. Kills off your opponent's stuff. Kills off, and notably, if they block with a token, this will kill off all the tokens that they blocked with. So really good anti-tokens on defense card. to help make sure they don't eat your creature. Mimic again. Been caught stealing. Still been caught stealing. Blur. The Amethyst Dragon. Yeah, this card's quite strong. It's at worst a 6-mana 4/4 flying haste volcanic dragon, but also the adventure is pyrokinesis, or pyrotechnics rather. Split 4 damage however you want, so kill some stuff off. Next turn have a big flyer. Really strong split for a dragon. I think there's a card that copies all your adventures when you cast it. You know, copying the pyrotechnics is really nice. So yeah, pretty good uncommon here. Beckoning Will-o'-the-Wisp. Can't just be Will-o'-the-Wisp because we did that card already back in Alpha. So this is a Beckoning Will-o'-the-Wisp, which is normally more of what a Will-o'-the-Wisp is. I think this is a pretty fun card, pretty fun political card where you get to pick someone and all the creatures attacking that player get a little bit bigger. So you're just telling everyone, hey, go attack someone else. Go pick on a different person here. Additionally, it's a flyer. They can poke in and take the initiative. So that's nice, but yeah, especially nice to incentivize people to attack a certain player. I think this kind of subtle head nod toward attacking someone else is a great white design. Sailor's Bane, great card name here. Once again, you'll see us calling out instant sorcery and adventure here. Good for if you're playing some kind of spells deck, because a lot of your adventures will be your spells. This is just a big creature, affinity with an affinity variant, dragon turtle notably, so can come down in that dragon strat. And yeah, just big ward creature bashes. Rawr. Here's our legends. This makes something a bear. What's not to love about that? Makes your tokens into bears. Notably, it can target your non-creature tokens. So this can turn all of your treasure into bears if you are so inclined, which is kind of a funny thing to do. Look forward to killing my opponent with a bunch of bear treasures. Oh, Master Chef. Mwah. Look, it makes all your stuff chefs. They come and play with counters. But most importantly, you get to be a master chef. I think this card would be great for memes, in addition to being a card you'll play in the format, but it just makes me smile. And yeah, of course, good for +1/+1 counter decks. You make sure your army is well fed, and so on. Here's Font of Magic. Pretty cool card. Lets your spells become very cheap longer in the game. Yeah, I don't know. Notably, it counts both of your commanders. Right, so if you cast each of them one time, well, that's a discount of 2. So it's especially relevant in this set. And yeah, you can do some pretty wacky, like long game. Man, you slam this thing down, and it will discount your spells by an absurd amount. It's not uncommon. This will discount them by 3-4 mana, especially if you're playing with a partner or partner variant. So yeah, play your big spells for cheap. Oh, and here's just a nice 6-mana 4/4 dragon. Kind of 6-mana 4/4 artifact is a flyer. Is a card we put in some sets, and there's a little bit of bonus for the synergies of the set. That's nice, and it's a dragon. So here's your curve filler dragon, should you need it. The Chardelin dragon. There's the initiative tracker, and we are moving on to the next booster. All right, we're an hour and 20 minutes in, and I don't think we've been through half the box. So we got more to talk about, that is for sure. Dream Fracture, Seeing You. Arms of Haldar. Yeah, this is a pretty rude card. Shrinks all of one player's creatures, so makes them a saucy target to attack this turn, or for your opponents on a future turn, right? Because you can either kill a bunch of their stuff and leave them open, but you can also just play the mode of this of shrink all your stuff, I can attack you now and my stuff won't die, which is nice. Also just a good answer to one player who's going heavy on tokens. Kind of a common one-player sweeper there. Seen these. Here's the Young Blue Dragon. This one I've played a lot. It's really nice because 2 mana, scry and draw a card cantrip, but then you can play a 5 mana flyer later. It's just a great mix of abilities. Because 2 mana, scry 1, draw a card, just a fine cantrip and great for any kind of spells, triggers. And then 5 mana, 3/3 flyer is a card I'll just play sometimes and limited anyway. So really nice mix here. There's Cloak of the Bat again. Universal Solvent, I mentioned earlier on Meteor Golem how it's nice to just have a way to blow something up. This can do that too. And it can also be a cheap artifact to put like with that 3 +1/+1 counters on an artifact and it becomes a creature card. Well, curve Universal Solvent into that. Start bashing your opponents with it. There's the green Impetus. Here's a a new common, Stunning Strike. You have to tap a creature, remove it from combat, and it doesn't untap as long as it's not legendary. The tap a creature and remove it from combat is kind of a new thing, so that you can still cast. We've made some of these before, right? Your flash tap cards, but there's this weird tension where you cast it in the beginning of their combat step, and you're still negotiating politics, blah blah blah. Well, in this case, you just let them attack. You can figure out who's attacking who, and then you can just slam this down, and it'll have the same effect. Which is really meaningful and a meaningful design change. So if you like this, let us know. Maybe we'll try it on more blue cards in the future. And it's kind of a neat take on a blue tap effect. The Mold Focus here. Lightning is here. Lantern of Revealing is here. This it was originally Seer's Lantern, and we wanted something that was a little bit more than that. So 3 mana rock that also lets you ramp the top card of your library, which I know looks expensive to do, but mostly it just clears off your top card, or you can scratch at the bottom if you want to. So it draws you half a card on the activation, which is good for making sure that in those long games you have plenty of action. Split the Spoils. I think this card is pretty fun. I love these pile splitting cards. So you're gonna make 2 piles. Your opponent's gonna give one of them to you. Like all those years of Fact or Fictions, you gotta learn how to split your piles properly. In the green-black graveyard deck, this will draw you at least 2 cards, so that's nice. And you can always put, you're the best card in your graveyard against the other 4 if you need to, and just recollect that one back. So that's nice. All right. So yeah, just in case you hadn't finished reading that one yet, pretty fun card. Notably, I guess I should say one thing that you can do with this card that I've seen happen before is if you want to make friends, or you want to try and make friends, play politics, you can choose one player and split them 5 and 0 and hope they give you the 5 pile. So if you find someone very generous, maybe they'll do that for you. Ask nicely. Thunderwave, yeah, this is when I was talking about commander-sized dice rolling cards. Here's a great example. Just as a board sweeper that levels up to only hit everything but one creature that you choose. And at the best case, just slams all your opponent's stuff. So you'll pick and play this. Board sweepers are important in Commander Draft, and it's a nice card. Here's our legend, Aranus Gloomstalker. Gets you your lands back, which is good in your green-black graveyard deck. Or, and in full-on Commander, looping whatever your favorite land is. I don't know, Glacial Chasm. Hopefully not. If you do that, you're probably a jerk. But, getting back your fetch lands even is really nice. Keep in mind it comes to the battlefield, so with a thing like a fetch land or an Evolving Wilds or what have you, this attacks and brings it right back into play. So you can just keep cracking it over and over again. Powerful card. Combo with Wasteland if you're feeling like a big jerk. Here's the Nightmare Speaker. Lets you sack stuff, and then you'll draw some number of cards, or that number might be 0, but if they do, your opponents are going to take damage for it. So a nice thing for the sack deck to be doing here. Have a neat riff on this Punisher draw trigger thing. Here's a background Street Urchin. It's sort of like a Goblin Bombardment on a background. So as long as you have your commander in play, you have Goblin Bombardment. It lets you sack artifacts too, so you can throw your treasure at them. Just huck it at their heads. Good work, Street Urchin. Ooh, here's Bountiful Promenade. So glad to get these Battle Bond duels back and reprinted again. We debated if hey, should we do a new dual land cycle or should we reprint these old ones? And decided let's just give you the old cycle of reprints. People keep asking for them, and let's make sure people have access to them. So here's Bountiful Promenade with some brand new Baldur's Gate artwork and a foil Predatory Impetus. Get that goading rolling dragon token in this here. All right. By the way, here's something interesting. If you're watching this video in the next few days, I mentioned earlier this is new art. It's not in the main set. It's from the Commander decks. Curious what you think this card is. Speculate away. Post in the comments what you think that card might do. It's a pretty fun card. I'm pretty proud of that design. So you let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right. Here's another Arms of Hadar. Guiding Bolt. Just kill something off scry 2. Just a nice effect to have around. White can kill off big power creatures. It's important to have answers to creatures. I don't know what more to say than that. One thing that we debate on these cards is how many players will just try and play it to scry 2 and not kill something off, because you can't do that. You have to have a target for it. At this point, we've just been kind of over that. We're just like, yeah, we'll just let him not do that. But maybe you'd prefer if you could scry 2 with this sometimes and not kill off a creature. If so, let me know in the comments. Maybe we'll try that sometime. Like, it could be choose one or both, right? Kill a power 4 or greater or scry 2, but it's just a weird way to write it. The Stirring Bard lets you take the initiative, gives things menace and haste. I think this is a pretty cool bard. It really feels like, yeah, I'm not attacking, but your other guys can go in and attack. It's kind of cool. Here's the Carefree Swine Master. Great card name. Gives you some boars. Get in there, buddy. Make some tokens. Good for the token deck. Here's the Artificer that I keep talking about. Love this guy. This card's really nice. Just the 3-power Hasty Flyers. So great. Mana or Gate again. Still asking that question. Cloak of the Bat. Here's this, a different Portender this time. Having enough Artifact or Enchantment removal, once again, very important. So 4 mana, 4/1, ETB, kill something off, like a Reclamation Sage kind of card. Just nice. Just nice to have around. 4 mana Rec Sage. Probably won't make the cut in mainstream Commander decks, because they'll play 3 mana Rec Sage instead. But it is a 4/1, so I can imagine some people would rather have the extra power on this thing. And it's a fungus, so I mean, that's pretty sweet. Who needs an elf when you got a fungus? There's a quote for you. Here's a Sea Hag, the return of the Hag creature type. Don't see that one very often. I think we debuted it maybe in Eventide. But anyway, lets you get through with stuff, and then curses your opponent's stuff by shrinking them for this turn. So, this is a side of blue we don't see often, is this, like, cursing, bewitching hag style side. So I think it's kind of cool to see it here. Sea Hag. Here's the Hazru again. You're confronted by robbers. Genasi Enforcers. I previewed this card. I think this card's really clever because it lets you pump up all your Genasi Enforcers, right? Just there's no like, oh man, which one do I pump up? Do I kill off their creature, deal them more damage? No. They're just all gonna get bigger. Really good in multiples, by the way. In Commander Draft, you are allowed to play multiples of cards, because in Draft you can always play as many copies as you want. Like if you draft 6 copies of a card in normal 8-player draft, you can, or whatever, 1-on-1 draft, you can play all 8 copies of them, or all 6 copies of them, however many you draft. So same as true in Commander Draft. So if you draft, like, let's say 3 Genasi Enforcers, you play 1 on turn 2 and 1 on turn 3. Well, your turn 4, you can pump them all up by a bunch. So keep that in mind. Great reprint. You meet in a tavern. The flavor is just star-studdedly perfect here. So reprinting this made a lot of sense. Well, I think it got downshifted to common. I think it was uncommon before. So that's something nice. The Rug of Smothering. Yeah, we talked about this card for a while. This is don't play a lot of spells in one turn card. It's sort of like an anti-storm card, but also in Commander, a lot of players just take long turns to play like 6 spells in a turn. This will just ding them. Just ding them a bunch of damage. So play this against your friends who keep playing, I don't know, Aetherflux Reservoir and doing jerk things like that. Smother them with this rug. Great flavor texture too. No, not an accessory to murder. I'm looking for an accessory for murder. Fun stuff. The Owlbear Shepherd. If you are formidable, you get to draw a card. Just a nice thing to do when the board gets stalled up, as it often does in Commander. You'll have 8 power lying around. So you look upon the Tarrasque. Another choose one mode of these 2 kind of cards here with great stories around them. Do you run or hide? Prevent damage. Which lets you either, block and not die, or attack and keep your guys alive, or just make something really big. I think this card is a pretty great modal spell for D&D. Helps make sure you can bash in or save your stuff if you need to. Ooh, here's Tasha. So excited to have her. So Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, name of a book you might recognize. She's an awesome witch, and we got to make a Commander Planeswalker out of her here. Like Commander Legends 1, we wanted to have some commanders that were Planeswalkers, and Tasha is that for this set. So, she's pretty sweet. She wants to play with your opponent's stuff, so that's kind of a neat hook for her deck building. Big Tasha fan. Here's Cloakwood Hermit, saw you already. Mighty Servant of Luco. This was a very niche, very niche thing. It's like a power suit that 2 people have to power. That Mike Merles was really excited about getting in the set, so we made a top-down Mighty Servant of Luco for this set. Kind of funny card. Thieves' Tools and foil, and then there's a spooky, scary skeleton. This is made by the dungeon, so you don't want to have that around. Don't want to run into that guy in a dungeon. Wow. All right. Hour and a half in, and only halfway through the box. Was I right about this being long? Funny thing is, my camera can only record about 2.5 hours of video, so we'll see if I have to do a weird cut at some point. Maybe we'll get through the rest in the next hour. We'll find out. We'll be going a lot faster now. But we'll see what happens. All right, here's the Young Blue Dragon. Seen you already. Armor Shadow, seen you. Guiding Bolt, seen you. Fang Dragon. Yeah, this is a 2-mana deal 1 sweeper, which is pretty nice. Doesn't even hit your stuff, so cast it after combat, kill some of their stuff out, and it just gives you a big dragon later. I love these adventures that are cheap spell, big creature later. It's really satisfying and helps make sure that your late game in commander is just bashing with big boys and girls. Here's Tamora's Invoker. Gives you some cards. Not exactly, I gotta say, I'll take the deal 4 damage to each opponent or the 8/8 land, but nothing wrong with just drawing 2 cards. It's kind of funny because the other Invokers you'll activate and you'll just well, I'm just going to keep paying 8 mana, deal 4 damage to everybody. This one, you have to alternate, activate, draw cards, play those cards, but it's also a 2 mana 1/3, so it comes down on turn 2, just kind of sticks around, does something later on. Low opportunity cost. Diamond, Navigation Orb again. Oh, it's a Badger! Badger. Makes a big creature early with this Dig Deep, or if you draw it late in the game, makes a super big creature. And then just, later on, 6 mana, 6/5, gain 3 life. Love a Honey Mammoth. Honey Badger, don't care. Reference to Honey Mammoth, I'll let you decide for yourself. Worms Crossing Patrol. This is a card we talked about for a long time. If 1 mana, 1/1 Myriad was okay. Doesn't look like much, right? 1 mana, 1/1, hit everyone for 1. Sounds pretty weak in Commander. But with things like the dungeon, the initiative around, with token matter, leaving matter stuff around, with things to pump your tokens up, this is going to actually be quite strong. So if you're on the receiving end of a big Worms Crossing Patrol, don't be surprised. Here's the Fox. Gives you some cards when it dies. Everyone else also gets the card, but I love these cards that just make the games work smoother, right? You just play Clockwork Fox, and when it dies, everyone gets more resources. And you're happy about it because you got 2 cards. Your opponents are happy about it because they each got a card. Just makes the game run smoother. I think that kind of stuff is nice. Great little combat trick here. Blade Brand, but in green. Could easily be green. Someday we'll make the black-green hybrid version of this too. Wait till Ravnica 6 or whatever. Face this one again. Bane's Contingency. What a name for a spell. I feel like this is a Batman card. Anyway, one funny thing you can do with this is counter your own commander. Now, it's not going to happen very often. It is a very strange thing that you will do. You don't counter your own commander. That you counter the thing that targets your commander. Doesn't happen very often. But yeah, it's pretty cool when it does. And when it I don't know, it just feels cool when you get the bonus out of it, right? They target your commander, and you're like, nope, no siree, I've got my creature covered. So it's kind of nice. Right. I first read this card as if that... I was like, we didn't make a card that wants you to counter your own commander, right? Why would we do that? That's why I had to read it again there for a second. I was like, I remember the cards in this set. I don't remember anything quite that strange. So yeah, you counter the spells that target your commander. You get a bonus for it. It's kind of a cool moment, too. You're like, you target my commander. Take this, Bane's Contingency. Pretty cool card. Explore the Underdark. 5 mana. Get 2 lands into play, including 2 gates. So once again, Mace's end players take note. Grab the initiative. Decent ramp spell. Oh, Lulu. This card made me smile so wide, right? The Elephant Angel. What is not to love? It's super charming. Great for your tokens deck or your white-black leaves the battlefield deck and draft. But the most important thing to hear, above all, is it is a Elephant Angel. It's a Hollyphant. Makes me so happy. I remember seeing that and just smiling really wide. Here's Corlessa, Scale Singer. a green-blue Dragons Matter card. I know there were some questions in the preview cycle as to why there's a green-blue dragon card. Two things. First of all, as you noticed, there's a lot more green-blue dragons in this set. Green-blue dragons is one of the archetypes. But also, I think it's fun to have a more niche deck to go build, right? There's lots of red-green dragon decks. Let's see you try and build the blue-green dragon deck. And it's pretty good rate, right? 2 mana for a Future Sight style creature. It's pretty nice. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what you do with Coalesce. Here's the Guild Artisan. Gives you some treasure if you attack the highest life total player. We talked about these Dethrony style backgrounds as a fun way to keep you who you're attacking moving around. So I like that about Guild Artisan. Oh, there it is, the big Earthquake Dragon. Right, it's originally, I think I even misspoke earlier. Originally, this was like a 16/16. We're trying to make it the biggest creature in Magic. We decided not to go down that route, and that it was not the right place to spend it. But at 15 mana, it is really expensive. Getting that printed 14 right here, and it's still huge. So you get 15 counters on something that cares about the highest mana value among your creatures. Although the other guy cared about power, I guess. So, cards change in design. What can I say? Telling stories about cards that no longer exist. But anyway, still a big burly dragon. Comes down cheaper with his first ability. Comes back from your graveyard. Bashes people. Big Timmy Tammy rare. That, even if I can't remember it properly because it changed so many times, is still big and exciting. Ooh, and this is cool. This is a foil rulebook frame card. So you'll see just the back here is kind of foiled out. Safana, the Kalimport Cutthroat, wants you to complete dungeons. So go ahead and run the dungeon. Blue-black is the dungeon archetype in this format, so you want to keep running that initiative dungeon and reap the rewards of doing so. That's why Thieves' Tools is there. Like blue has a lot of evasion granting, Thieves' Tools, Menace, etc. Good for granting evasion. So, all right. Ooh, Deadly Dispute. Great reprint. I know a lot of folks will be happy to have that. Here's this Blessed Hippogriff. Just a nice little common. Once again, cheap combat trick, more expensive creature. Lets your creatures gain fly and bash people. The Cloakwood Swarm Keeper. This is good for your tokens deck, obviously. When you read it, you'll find that out. Hard to make 1-drops good in Commander. This is a card you'll play in your tokens deck, which is nice. The Nimbleclaw Adept is here. This just untaps your stuff using Big B's Hand, a spell many of you will probably recognize the name of. And helps you ramp in blue-green ramp, which is very notable, right? You can play this on turn 4 and untap 2 of your lands on turn 5 after you've tapped them for mana already, or you can keep your creatures around to block. So a pretty versatile card, notably also a dragon. Dragons are expensive, so this can ramp you into your big dragons. If your deck cares about dragons, this will be a dragon for you, so that's great. Cliffgate here. The Bronze Walrus. Welcome, walruses. That's right, we got a walrus for you here. Don't know why I ended up a walrus, but it is very charming. Scry 2, add 1 mana of any color. Funny mix. Evolving Wild, just a great reprint. Fixes your mana, lets you play your 3-color deck. Printed this card so many times. Don't need to explain it much. Here's Summon Undead. 5 mana, Zombify with upside is kind of what we're at for limited these days. And this gives you a little bit of milling. So you can maybe find something you didn't already have, and then bring something back. We did make it May mill because some Commander Legends games do tend to come down to, or in this format less so than the first one, but they can come down to decking. So especially in your mill deck, you want to be careful to not mill yourself out. So Summon Undead will help. You get to choose if you want to do that or not. But you always get something back. Here's the Unicorn again. Wayfarer's Bauble again. Heapgate. I previewed this card. Another Gate. Faceless one. Vrock, the Bird Demon. This is for the permanent leave the battlefield archetype, or the Revolt archetype. Have stuff leave the battlefield, all your opponents take damage. Wild Magic Surge, great name. So one funny thing about this card is it can destroy enchantments, which is, I know you might be thinking, wow, that's not red. And I thought Chaos Warp wasn't red, and people got angry that we made Chaos Warp, which is not supposed to kill enchantments. The difference here, and why we let this one happen, it was a long discussion, is that it turns an enchantment into an enchantment. So as long as they have an enchantment in their deck, you're really just changing the nature of it, not destroying it outright. So, maybe you kill off their background and they find a new background. But it is still a very unique effect for red to have. So I'm curious to know what you all think about it as a little riff on that Chaos Warp style effect. Red killing enchantment cards do not show up every day. And notably, it can also just pick out problematic lands and stuff too. So really good variety on this card. As an instant especially, I expect this to see play. I think this will see a decent amount of play. You never know what you're going to give them though. So use it carefully. Here's the Nemesis Phoenix. Just a big flyer that comes back to the battlefield. Good in your red-white deck because you can myriad, get people attacking 2 or more opponents, and then bring it back for 3 mana, tapped and attacking, and deal that damage. The red-white deck is good at dealing a bunch of damage early, but can trail off in the late game sometimes. So a big flyer like this that keeps coming back will get the job done. Ellen Harbreeze makes these delicious, looks like cupcakes here. Anyway, you get to look at your top X and take one of them, right, in the number of tokens you made this turn. So a little bit of white card draw for you. White card draw fans, I know you love it. Here's the Candlekeep Sage. It just gives you some cards in your commander ETBs or leaves. Good for blinking. Caves of Chaos Adventure. Yeah, the Caves of Chaos was this, well, I'm not going to get the whole backstory here, but it was this wacky campaign in D&D where with a bunch of randomized rooms that was really hard. Anyway, this is the adventure that goes into Caves of Chaos. Lets you play some stuff for free sometimes if you've completed a dungeon. So that's a pretty fun one. Ooh, foil Merkle, Lord of Bones. That's awesome. Yeah, so we have these gods in this set of the Dead 3, and Merkle is a really cool one for the Obzon. Really unique card. Brings back your creatures as enchantment, so you get to keep all their abilities on the board. I'm excited to see what people build with Merkle. We spent a lot of time iterating on this card. That's a great open. All right. Next, Booster. I think now we're halfway through the box, maybe? After this pack, I'll count how many packs we have left. But all right, Vicious Battle Rager. Astral Confrontation. You get to, this is an aggressive white removal spell. You attack a bunch of people. You get to exile something. Notably, of course, with Myriad, you're going to be attacking everyone else. So this will only cost you 2 mana. So that's pretty nice, right? Get a pretty big discount. 2 mana, kill off anything. This is a very strong removal spell in white with any Myriad card. Pretty easy to get this down to at least 4 mana, and Myriad makes it 2. So Shiny Impetus, great to have that here. Green Invoker again. Blue Invoker. Oh, it's just Black Invoker. Gives all your stuff +2/+1 menace. Bam, get him. Oh, Rulebook Frame Lightning Bolt is just perfect. This is going to be a card. Players will want to find 4 copies of this for sure. Lightning Bolt, Lightning Bolt, Lightning Bolt. Fire Diamond. Basilisk Gate, make something bigger. Sturge, seen you. Impetus, seen you. Druidic Ritual. Mill 3, get some stuff back. This is a pretty nice card, actually. I like that you can just jam it on turn 3 if you want to try and mise back a creature in a land. Really good if you craft an Evolving Wilds on the first turn, too. Makes you more likely to hit. But, yeah, I mean, late game, this is like 3 mana, draw 2 out of your graveyard. So, yeah, really, really nice card for the graveyard deck. And this is a card, by the way, I think could see full-on commander play, too. So, speaking of Evolving Wilds, they hung out together. Mind Stone, great to have you back. Just always a good 2 mana ramp card. There are some 2 mana rocks in the set that any deck can play, but the commons are the diamonds, which are locked to a color. Dies, search for a dragon. Helps make sure your dragons keep on rolling. Helps you find your big burly dragon for the long game, which is really nice. Here's the Phoenix again, but in the rulebook frame, so that's pretty cool. Oh, and here's a legend in the rulebook frame. I already got one of you. Hello, Safana. Not foil this time, but still pretty sweet. Noble Heritage, opened you already. Astarion's Thirst, cool card. You get to eat up a creature and make your commander big. So this can let you bash for a bunch of damage. Notably, it is an instant, so casting this in the middle of combat can be pretty brutal, right? You kill off one of their blocking creatures or something like that, make your commander huge and eat their other creature, or just deal a ton of commander damage to them. So keep that in mind. Yes, I would say Thirst is an appropriate name for this card. No further comments at this time. There's Warehouse Thief again, and we're back to the Soldier at the back here. Let's see how many packs we got left. I think we got we got like 12 packs. Okay, so we're at the halfway point through this box. All right. But it's going a lot faster, as you saw there. I've gone through much of the commons, kind of just telling stories. And I'm talking about all the mechanics at length, so it'll pick up the pace. The big question here that you can take a bet on now, will I finish this video before my camera runs out of room on it? We will have to find out together. I'm not going to rush, though, just for that reason. I can always just, upload this footage and then record the rest and stitch it together with the power of editing. Here's a duo drone. You probably get the treasure when it attacks. Now, you do get first crack at using that treasure, so it is slightly advantageous for you. Gotta love this in the rulebook frame. Pretty funny. Once again, I love these smoothing cards. Just help everyone have a good game. Here are the Goggles of Night. Nice little equipment that lets you draw a card. Great in your blue-black evasion deck. You have all these evasive creatures trying to venture into the dungeon. Well, Goggles of Night will help you draw more cards with your evasive creatures. Maybe find what you're looking for. Seeing you. Pilgrim's Eye comes back in this set. Just super great commander card, right? Just 3 mana, 1/1, go to land. Sees plenty of play. Just always a good role filler. Notably in this set, though, it's better than normal because it can take the initiative. So that 1 power flyer matters way more than in a normal set here. So keep that in mind. Black Dragon Gate, Drake Ritual, Sea Hag, hello. Ambition's Cost, just a nice black draw spell. Lose 3, draw 3. Arcane Signet reprinted here. New art on it, so check out that. I think that's new art, right? Or did we use the... Yeah, this is new art. Pretty sure this is new art. Good to have new art, non-Eldritch art for it. Cold of Cone. It was a secret lair too, I guess. But anyway, here's another commander-sized dice rolling card, because you'll either tap all your opponent's stuff. Okay, fine. Lets you attack and lets other people attack people whose stuff is tapped. It's bad for the player to your right. But if you roll a 10 through 19, you're going to tap and freeze all your opponent's stuff, which is absolutely backbreaking, right? All their creatures are shut down for 2 turns. This turn and their next turn. You get to attack and sneak past everyone. It's really, really nice. The die roll on this can be a huge game. So yeah, this card will end games. And it's important because blue is often not good at overrunning. This will help make sure that you can finish folks off. Here's our legend area of the pack. Candlekeep Sage. Oh, Nine Fingers Keen. Cares about gates. A lot of debate on the team as to, if this should have some kind of weird line of text that lets you play off-color gates in your deck or something, because we weren't making 4 or 5 color legends in this set. And ultimately decided, no, we'll just make a 3-color gate legend. Yeah, you can't play the red or green ones, but that's fine. There's enough gates now between Ravnica and this set that you can still build your gates deck. I think that's cool. Calls out 9 gates specifically. So, there you are. Notably, by the way, in Commander Draft, you can play multiple copies of the same card, right? So keep that in mind for drafting. So you can play, 3 Cliff Gates or whatever. Well, that's exactly the wrong one because it's not in the color identity. But, Black Dragon Gate or something to help get to your 9-gate threshold. So just keep that in mind for this card. Ooh, Spire Garden. Nice. Getting another one of those Battle Bond duels in here. The crowd lands, as some folks call them. And then here is the Tabaxi Toucaneers. I don't know if crowd lands actually stuck. I just call them that. So I don't know. What do you call those Battle Bond lands? You call them Battle Lands? That always confuses me with the Battle for Zendikar lands. That's why I use crowd lands. But anyway. Oh, it's time for more murder. Don't quote me on that. Here's the Goliath Paladin. Just a big take the initiative card. Nice to have around. Stirring Bard. Swine Master. Contact Other Plane. The Bandit. And then look at all these commons we've seen before. Here's something new. This Ingenious Artillerist just deals a bunch of damage to your opponents. Make some treasure, deal some damage. What's not to love? Just deals a little bit extra damage. Sigil of Merkle. Here is a new card. You get to Mill a card every turn, and then if you have enough creatures in your graveyard, your creatures get a little bit bigger. So for, again, that graveyard deck, looks at 4 creatures in particular, is the magic number here, Oversold Cemetery style. So, little just enchantment that keeps giving you value there. Big fan of Cut a Deal. This is a card, when we made a Secret Rendezvous, a lot of players were like, hey, why don't you make this exact card? And, well, here it is. Here's that card. We were already making it. Cut a Deal. All your opponents draw a card, and then you draw that many cards. So a lot of the time, it's each opponent draws 1, you draw 3. So pretty cool. I think this card will see some play. Cool. It's a cool white card draw spell. Here's Amber Gristle Maul. Great card name here. You will, it helps keep giving you cards. You want to make sure that your hand is pretty low because you're only ever going to cap out at 3 cards here, but good with Myriad. Make sure you have gas to finish the game, which is often what red and white decks can struggle with in Commander. Here's Minthara. Uses the experience counter mechanic, which I think is kind of cool. And it's pretty easy to get experience counters with her, so maybe you play her with your Kelson deck or something like that. Because it also pumps up all your creatures for your experience counters. So she's I helped make this card. I thought it'd be fun to have a sideways experience counter card. And it's, otherwise she goes in like the black-white, in the limited archetype. She goes in the black-white, leaves the battlefield, limited deck. So that's kind of neat. Acolyte Bahamut, of course, for your dragon deck. This card just makes sense. And the Mirror of Life Trapping. Yeah, this card is pretty funny. You get to creatures just constantly go into it, and the new stuff comes out. Really good if you have a bunch of ETB effects rolling around, right? So you can just re-trigger all your ETBs. Notably, though, your opponents will be triggering theirs too, so play this card wisely. And then a foil Runaway Together. Still love that thing. Fairy Dragon token. Very cute. All right. On to the next pack. Here we go. Got the Roving Harper, Earth Tremor, seeing all these. Look at all these cards we've seen already. Have we seen Bane's Invoker? I think so. Maybe not. This is the white Invoker. This is the white one in the cycle. Makes stuff big and flying. You get the idea. Seeing all these. There's the Fox, the Badger, this Explorer. Here's something new, this Blood Boil Sorcerer. Gives you the initiative and then helps you reclaim it by goading their stuff. So great way to spend all that treasure, right? You get to sack some treasure and goad their creatures, get all their blockers out of the way. Then you can go ahead and take the initiative and swoop in there. We don't do just tons of goad on activated ability like this very often. So it can be quite strong. So yeah, this card can be pretty good. Also, just a 4-mana take the initiative card. If you get that rolling, it's pretty nice. Cast Down, great removal spell. Great reprint here. Here's a legend that cares about stuff dying. All your stuff dies, you get that much treasure. Great for, unsurprisingly, your red-black treasure deck. Here's the Sword Coast Sailor. This is the blue take on this kind of Dethrone style background that we talked about making a bunch of. Helps you just punch through with your creature. This is a fun one for your Aura deck, but notably what we really want happening here, or what we thought the funnest version of this deck was to enchant your opponent's creatures and have them attack each other. So impetusing, impetusing and vowing their creatures is really fun with this, so keep that in mind. It's a funny thing that we thought to do with Mazzy. Here's the Horn of Valhalla. This card is sweet. This is a really great story here. You play the adventure side, you get a bunch of tote soldiers, you can't hard cast it, your creature gets huge for the number of creatures you control. Just a really great package. Notably, one thing you'll find here in Battle for Baldur's Gate are adventures that are artifacts. We debated that for a long time and decided to go with it because quite often artifacts are what send you on adventures. You hear about some relic or someone shows you something, and that's what sends you on your quest. So that's a new thing here in this set. And our foil is that aforementioned very strong Cold of Cold. Foil in every booster. All right. On to the next pack. Oh, Still finding new stuff here. Here's the atrocious experiment. This is what I will send people when I have a very bad draft deck and they ask me how my deck is. But mill 2, draw 2, lose 2. Great for the graveyard deck, actually. So nice little draw spell to get things rolling there. Here's some cards we've already seen and talked about. Diamond, Impetus. We have a very similar common run to the first pack we opened. Here's something new, though. The Githzeral Monk. 3/4 flying with flash. Taps all your opponent's creatures. Great way to help make sure you can break through. I think a way this card will often be played is you pass the turn. On the player to your left's beginning of combat step, you cast this, or maybe at the end of their turn, you cast this. And then all their stuff is tapped for all of your opponents to attack during their turn. So keep in mind, it's not just for end step and necessarily, and then you attacking people willy-nilly. You can set up people to attack a very specific player. The reason why you do that as opposed to the player to your right's end step is then they get to attacks in on that player before you get to attack, and all their stuff will probably be tapped from that too. So you potentially get, so think about how many different attack steps you get, right? If you play it to the player to your right's turn, you get an attack step, and then the 2 other players get an attack step before everything's untapped again. If you play the player to your left's turn, there's 2 players get an attack step, you get an attack step, and then you get 2 more attack steps with a player that has their creatures tapped, providing that all their creatures attack, which is not always true, of course, but it can generate more attack steps. So just keep that in mind. That was very confusing. I don't know if you followed. That was doing some commander algebra. Moral of the story here, though, is cast it at the right time, tap your opponent's creatures, to convince people to attack each other. All right, Mystery Key. This is a fun one where you just want to try and get in and draw 3 cards. Can you connect with the key? Can you open the door? I find often the answer is yes. Here's Servok Deathbringer. Wants your opponents to be attacking and making permanents lose the battlefield. So makes them lose some life every turn, punishes them a little bit if their stuff isn't dying. Here's a fun one. Kage lets you play stuff from your graveyard that was put there this turn from your library. So as you're milling stuff, you get to play it. Really good for repeated mill actions like that black enchantment we saw earlier. Dragon Cultist. This is a pretty fun one. You get a 4/4 dragon if you deal enough damage. Descent into Avernus. Hey, I made this card. Right. You just keep upping the descents and then making treasure and taking damage. This thing will end games. And you're going to want to get rid of this thing eventually, but players are going to take a ton of damage in the meantime. And a foil Wayfarer's Bauble. Cool. That's nice to have here. That copy token again. All right. Oh, we're getting down to the bottom, actually. There's only 7 packs left. Wow, we are going through these last ones quicker. Maybe we'll do it. I don't know. If you bet against me, maybe we'll get through them yet. We'll see. About 20 minutes left in this recording. I love that time is a factor here, although I will just finish recording the back end and stitch it together if I need to. Okay. Roving Harper, Hoarding Ogre, Avenging Hunter, Draconic Lore. Big shout out, by the way, to, I'm just, going through his comments. Big shout out to Rihanna, Inside Wizards, who helps me get products for these videos. She's fantastic. I really appreciate having this box to open here and talk about the set that I worked so hard on. Emerald Dragon. This is a fun one. It's Bind. We haven't seen this in a long time, countering activated or triggered abilities from a non-creature source in green. Not something it gets to do very often, but it can do it. It is in Pi. And, you can counter some pretty wacky stuff with this, including Planeswalker abilities, artifact abilities, stuff like that. It's got flying and trample too, so it's a big flying creature in green, which is also atypical. So this whole package is just a very strange green card. You would not expect these things to be together, but because of adventure, because of D&D, it made sense to make a green uncommon dragon that flew because green is a dragon's archetype. So a lot of atypical things here, making a big package. Swashbuckler Extraordinaire, which is not a pirate. I know that has made some people unhappy, so I had nothing to do with that choice, but still, I'm sorry. It is a 3-mana 2/2 that gives you a treasure, and lets you sack your treasures to give stuff a double strike, which is a great thing for your red-black treasure deck to be doing, or any other color treasure deck for that matter. Plenty of treasure here to sacrifice. Yarr. I guess not Yar. That's the wrong thing to say to the pirate fans. Anyway, here's Oji the Exquisite Blade, which one thing, so, white-blue is about blinking in the set. This is a great thing to blink, but we did want to have some legends that were not just about that. And so this count looks at your second spell that you cast, which, yes, the output is blinking, but it's fun to have a very different kind of input, right? You're like, oh, what I want to do in this deck is cast 2 spells. Now, yeah, I'm going to play it with the blink stuff to get the blink bonus on here, but casting it with 2 spells, if you can each turn, is pretty nice. It gives you kind of makes you play different cards than you might play otherwise, like small spells and cantrips and stuff like that. Here's Imoen again, Flaming Fist again, and then the Intellect Devourer. I knew early on, right, we talked about what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to do an Intellect Devourer, kind of similar to the Elder Brain. You eat stuff out of their hand, and then you get to cast it later on. So, it's a neat card. Foil Skullwinder, a reprint from an old Commander deck. So, cool to have that here. New art, of course. I like when you find old reprints from Commander decks that make sense like that. And it's a little political card, too, so that's nice. I think, was that Commander 2015, maybe? Or it was the monocolored one, which is 2014. Anyway. Try and keep all the stuff in your head. Tricky. Ooh, here's the prize statue. I haven't seen that yet. Still finding new commons. So many commons in the set. Gives you treasure when ETBs or dies. Great thing to sacrifice. Probably a really iconic statue here. I think we even saw this statue in maybe the first D&D set on one of the choose a mode cards. So kind of a good throwback to old D&D there. Here's a Marut, another common we haven't seen yet. You get to make treasure when you play this thing. So when you basically, the treasure you cast in on this are not spent, right? If you crack 5 treasure to cast this, you get 5 treasure back. So it's sort of like Affinity for treasure, except, it doesn't have some weird interactions with that, where you can lock in the mana cost and then sack the treasure to cast it, which is very strange. But second of all, which is why it's not, this costs 1 less for each treasure you control. Weird quirk of magic rules there. But also, it does trigger all your artifact ETBs again. So like that red creature that deals damage to your opponents when treasure come into play, well, sack 5 treasure to this, and they'll all be taking 5 damage. So that's what's up with the Marut. Here's another new card you haven't seen yet, the Recruitment Drive. This is this one, we talked a lot about the right rate here. 3 mana, make 2 1/1s, kind of underrate. 3 mana, make 2 2/2s, slightly overrate. As a dice rolling card, it works out. It would probably be too swingy for a 1-on-1 draft format, because getting the high roll here is a big deal. But in Commander, there's lots of room to budge around. You got a lot more life to play with, so not nearly as big of a deal. Here's the Pack Attack. Attacking creatures get a little bit bigger. Really good with Myriad, gives all your stuff +3/+0, and draws a card. So this is a Commander-sized Trumpet Blast, which is pretty darn nice. Seen you already, seen you already, seen you already. Here's something new, the Iron Mastiff. It's a dog, first of all, so that's cool. And great in your Myriad deck, because you get to roll a d20 for each opponent being attacked. And you get whatever the highest roll is, which is hopefully not a 1 through 9, because you'll take some damage. But ideally, it is a 10 through 19, or if things are going really good, a 20. So, yeah. Also, it's just 4 mana, 4/4. So, good stats there for an artifact. And like I said, hopefully you don't take the 4 damage. You roll, attack enough people, roll high enough that you deal that 10 through 19. Seen you already in that foil earlier. Overwhelming Encounter helps you just, once again, end games. Everything has Vigilance, Trample, and at least +2/+2, if not more. So, well, gotta have ways to end games. This card is a die rolling card. Talk about Commander-sized die rolling cards. Here you go. 2 counters, Vigilance, Trample. Will help you end a game and then take out someone else in the future too. So, Commander Leah Portier. You know that it's for Commander because Commander is in the title. Not really, but there you go. This lets you cast yourself from exile for cheaper this turn, which is really fun in your red-white exile focus deck, which red, of course, has a lot of casting from exile these days. It also gives you some exiled cards too, which is nice, so you don't have to build around it. But if you want to play it with a bunch of these bottling cards, you can. So that's kind of cool. I think it's neat that you have that sideways strategy you can go. Tavern Brawler. This card's great. Gives you a free card every turn. Lets you bottle. Goes well in a deck with Liara. They just go so well together here. Wrathful Red Dragon. Here's this rare dragon that deals a bunch of damage. So if your dragons take damage, it sends that damage right back. someone else. Feels like a very dragony thing to do. Feels very wrathful. I guess that's why it's named that. And a foil Cloak of the Bat, a soldier, a token at the back. All right. I think there's 4 packs left. 4 packs left. Into the bottom of this box. I haven't opened any of the Mythic Rare Dragons yet. I'd love to open up one of those. So we can talk about that a little bit. See if I do. All right. Seeing you. Seeing all these. Seagate, I will say, here's a funny story. The card I am saddest is not in the set is Seagate Oracle. I was really hoping we could do it because recontextualizing, because Zendikar's got a Seagate and Baldur's Gate has a Seagate. I thought recontextualizing it would be hilarious, but alas, it was not meant to be. Just if you think you find that funny, let me know in the comments. Also, we haven't done our normal code word and we're almost done with the box. So if you're watching, let's put a code word in the comments here to show that you got this far. I'm always very curious how many people actually watch this thing and don't just skip around. So if you are here and the code word this time around is trucking, because I said that earlier. I didn't say it more times, but get trucking in those comments. Trucking, truckin', whatever you want to do. Keep on trucking. Here's the Hardy Outlander. I haven't talked about this card yet. This is the Dethrone green background. Attack someone with more life than you. Creature gets big, or it's that creature's power. Trucking along. Oh, hey, there's Dinah here. I mentioned them earlier. This is your Invoker commander. So if you activate big abilities, 4 more mana abilities, you get to copy them, which is works well with Invokers, but also a variety of other cards, of course, and also lets you activate them right away. So that's kind of fun. This is a really cool commander. I look forward to seeing what folks build with this one. Sea of Clouds, nice. Got 3 of the 5 Battle Bond lands already. We'll see if we open up any more at the end here. And a foil Overwhelming Encounter. There's a little Saproling boy. Little Myconoid Saproling dude. Alright. 3 packs left. Here we go. I don't want to curse myself, but I think I might make it on space. We'll see. See how much I blather on here. Seen you already, seen you already. Seen you, seen you, seen you, seen you. Cool looking Fire Diamond. There's the rulebook frame version of it. There's that schematic, which is made by the construct. Here's something new though, the Passageway Seer. This card was really strong actually in Limited. I played this with this card a bunch. It gets to be a pretty big lifelinker because you play it, you take the initiative, so it's base case a 3/3 lifelinker right away, and then it can easily become a 4/4 lifelinker or larger as the game goes on. So this card was pretty strong in Limited. I expect it still will be. I don't know why it would change, but sometimes we make cards and people's opinions are different than mine. This taps and freezes. This is a nice flyer. 5 mana, 4/3 flying, tap and freeze something for each opponent. So yeah, locks down 3 of your opponent's creatures most likely, which is quite strong. Plus gives you a big flyer to bash people with. So really nice dragon to pick up. It's juvenile. Here's a card that's good if you want to be holding on to the initiative. Because you will tell your opponents not to take it from you, because you'll go and attack them and get more tokens, and that you're going to be attacking them with. So kind of a cool enchantment here. Here's Rasad and Bashir, a Doran style dude. So I think it's kind of a funny card, doubles your toughness, and then Dorans. So once you have the initiative, cool, kind of a cool dude here. Agent of the Shadow Thieves. I love the names of the backgrounds, and the whole conceit around them is really great. Here's the Black Dethrone one. Gets a counter, Death Touch, and Indestructible of the Cycle of Dethrone backgrounds. Windshaper Planetar. We talked about this card a lot. I think it's totally sweet. I love Portal Mage. We decided this could be a white effect, so we put it in white. And this redirects all your opponent's attackers, so they're not going to be attacking you, and they're going to be attacking someone who is probably bad for them to attack, or maybe you'll kill that player. So a great, fun political card. And then you get a 4/4 flyer at the end of it, so not too shabby. Foil Lozon, Dragon's Legacy at the very back here. Oh, here's that boar token, that cute little boar. Oh, look at him, little cutie pie. All right. 2 more boosters. All right, Breath Weapon, Heap Gate, Nature's Lore. Let's find something we haven't seen yet. Got through most of the comments at this point. The Walrus makes me so happy. Here's the Axe. This is another artifact equipment that's an adventure. So a couple of these in the set. So that's kind of cool. Gut. I love that we have a character named Gut now. You can sack things to make 4/1 skeletons, tapped and attacking. So use that token for more than just the dungeon. Because, you know, Gut pulls out the skeleton. There's a joke there. You'll figure it out. Lavon, the Cultist of Tiamat, cares about you casting non-creature spells. So good if you're playing a spells-heavy deck. It's a dragon itself. You know that the blue-red deck has spells and dragons. So a spell-heavy dragon deck makes sense for this dude. Feywild Visitor. You get to make a bunch of 1/1 fairy dragons. Oh, 4 out of 5 of the Battle Bond lands. Only 1 missing. It's a luxury suite. Maybe it'll be in the next pack. Who knows? And then the two-handed axe again. Pretty good, pretty sweet. I'm getting all these Battle Bond lands. All right, last pack. Wonder if I'll get like the last Battle Bond land or a Mythic Dragon or like a Elminster Planeswalker or something. Let's see what we get. All right, Breath Weapon. Seeing all these. Got through a lot of the commons. Here's something new. If you have the initiative each turn, you make a 1/1 flyer. So that's kind of cool. Nice little encyclopedia. This is a reprint from a core set, I believe. Just keeps your card flow going. Another one of these. Going to the legends. Here's this Thief. Great to have a top-down Thief. Fun to pick back stuff back up to your hand for all your ETBs in the Blinkin deck. Or if you're just playing some that leaves the battlefield stuff. Got Tavern Brawler again. Oh, this is a sweet rare. This is going to see a lot of play. The Archivist of Ogma. 2 mana, 2/2 flash. When an opponent searches, you gain a life and draw a card. Yeah, this is going to draw so many cards for people in Commander. This card is so strong. You know, someone cracks fetch land, I'll draw a card. Someone plays Cultivate, I'll draw a card. I know players are really stoked about this. Speaking of powering up white, this is a big game for white. And at the very back here, we get Flaming Fist and foil at the very end. Well, we made it, everyone. I knew it was going to be a long one, but we didn't have to reset my camera, so you know, it's honestly perfect. It's just under the wire. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed me tell all these stories. Please leave a comment if you like this. It's, you know, it's really good to know that people are out there enjoying these videos, and I hope you enjoy everything that Battle for Baldur's Gate has to offer. And I'll be cracking open the Commander decks soon too, talking about all the cards I made there. So until then, have fun exploring the set, learning about it, and I'll talk with you again very soon. And remember, everyone, you got this.